Welcome to the One Life, One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Today I have a very, very special guest. I met this man when I was probably 17 years old. We've been friends ever since. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, Mr. Arthur Smilios.
Hey. Wow, Toby. We've known each other 32 years.
It's crazy. So I was thinking about that today. I'm like, I'm pretty much sure I met you in 1987.
87.
Yeah, when you guys played the
When we
Marble.
played in Baltimore.
Yes, with Rollins Band.
Yeah, what club? Do you remember the name of the club?
Yeah, it was the Marble Bar.
How do you remember that?
Because I had the flyer still.
Get out of here. Do you really?
Yeah, dude. So that's when I met you guys. I was a massive fan of Token Entry, and then we became kind of like pen pals after that. Before I moved to New York.
That's right. That's right.
Before the internet.
Do you remember when we met Rollins that day?
No.
Dude, he was terrifying.
Was he?
Oh my God! I met Ian that day. Ian was at that show.
Oh shit.
Ian McKay was at that show, and I remember Rollins telling us he liked us, and I was 18, and I was terrified because he was just so intense.
Damn.
And he was like, he was looking right in the eye and saying, "I really like this part of the song." And he was like punching his open hand, his palm, and you know me, I'm a big tough guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, you and I both were like really dangerous guys.
Yeah.
So I just remember just being so intimidated. But then Ian was there. And he had grown out his hair.
I remember that curly hair.
Yeah. He had that really curly hair. And I just went up. He was really nice. I remember that because I went up and I was just, obviously did the fanboy thing with him.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And then I think you spoke to Timmy Chunks first, right?
Probably, yeah, because that's who I ended up living with. But yeah, met him, I have like group pictures of us standing outside of the show.
You have pictures from that show?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God. I bet we were wearing really cool things, right?
You were wearing some crazy high top like Converse and high socks, and everybody wore like those painters caps back then.
Oh my God. It's so funny. Whenever people post old pictures of us, I just think to myself, yep, there's proof. There's proof. Like they're like with the puka shells.
Oh,
the puka
yeah.
shells, and oh my God, the painters caps, the puka shells, and then the crazy ass sneakers. Remember the orange spot belts that we used to wear, Token Entry used to wear?
I think so, yeah. What were those?
They were spot belts. They were orange high top spot belts, and we got them, I think, at the hell was the name of the place on Steinway? They were really cheap.
Like Army Navy store or something, right?
Yeah, it was like a Modell's or something. I don't know if it was an actually. It might have been Modell's before, when Modell's was like a real small local store.
Yeah.
It was just a New York store. Yeah, but all the Token Entry, we all wore those. I remember.
So
Jesus Christ.
So I met you guys, became pen pals. It was way before the internet, and then ended up moving to New York in '88 to live with Timmy Chunks. And that was an experience in itself, like leaving where I was living, coming to a major city. And then I was living with Timmy Chunks for maybe a couple months, and then he's like, "Oh, my landlord said you can't live anymore. You got to leave." And then at that point, I think you were leaving Token Entry to be in GB. I think there was a transition period. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that would be October, because I got kicked out of Token Entry in October, and then like a week later it was 87. It was a Halloween show at Irving on Halloween in '87. It was Murphy's Law and Underdog was opening, and Richie had just gotten back in Underdog.
Yeah. And
I was a huge fan of that band, and fan of Richie.
Yeah.
And I'm still a huge fan of Richie. But I remember I went to that show, and Russ and Richie pulled me over after that. And they were like, "Hey, we're here tonight in Token Entry. Do you want to audition for Underdog?" And I did, and then I got an Underdog, yeah, which was like, I remember I was like kind of shaking because I knew Russ. Russ was like one of the first people I met because he used to come down to the pyramids and skate.
Oh, wow.
So I was always I was totally cool with Russell.
Yeah.
And then, but Richie, I kind of didn't really know, and I just like idolized him.
Yeah.
After the spot belts, I bought a pair of Vans, and I did, because they were the Vans that Richie wore. I've told him all this too, in the ensuing years. But yeah, I remember being intimidated, and I was like, "Man, I thought you hated me, Richie. Why would I hate you?" Whatever. And so then I was in GB and Underdog, right.
So how long were you an Underdog for?
Only about a year.
Yeah.
My last Underdog show was at CB's with Bad Religion, and this is how weird things were back then. We headlined because at that time, that was those summers of 86, 87, 88, when New York bands were just the top draw no matter what. Like Underdog, we went on tour that summer in '88 with just the 7-inch.
Wow.
And then we ended up, yeah. And then my last show was that show at CB's with Bad Religion, and it's funny because the CBGB book, there's a picture of that show of me playing guitar, silly little instrument. Yeah, a little, yeah, yeah. I played that ridiculous little instrument in a couple of bands, but it's cool. It's a picture of Underdog, and I'm jumping in the air, and Walter had a broken leg,
Oh
so
shit.
he was standing behind my amp with crutches because that's when he broke his leg on the Youth of Today tour, like trying to drop into a half pipe or
Oh shit.
something.
Yeah, I remember that story.
Yeah, yeah. And Luke played bass for the rest of that tour, so Walter came home. So sitting in front of my amp is Anthony Caminali, and standing behind my amp is Joe Sonko, Civ, and Walter with crutches.
Damn.
Yeah, and that
That's
picture's in the
awesome.
CBGB book, which kind of got me psyched.
Yeah,
I was like, oh wow, yeah. They didn't, from the hardcore bands, they put that picture in. Yeah.
that's awesome. So, and then so obviously after Underdog, then it was GB, correct?
Then it was just GB. Yeah, I mean there were other things too, like Warzone for a little while.
That's right.
I filled in for Warzone in '87. I played guitar in that band too because Walter played bass,
Yeah.
and that's how Luke got in the band because the drummer didn't show up. I forgot who was drumming. We went to rehearse at Two Casa Studios on Avenue B,
Yeah.
which in 1987 going to Avenue B was
Sketchy.
kind of an adventure. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a little bit of an adventure. And I remember just walking there, Walter and me, I think Walter still had braces. And, between the two of us, we weighed like 130 pounds and we're walking with these massive Fender, those big black Fender, this is before gig bags, so those big black Fender cases that
Yeah.
weighed a ton. And
Yeah.
we go to Tukasa. It was, I think, on like 12th and B or something. And then Luke just happened to be there and he sat in and he ended up staying in Warzone the longest. I only did a few shows, and then Walter stayed for a little while longer.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I was in. Oh wait, no, that was before that. I was still in Token Entry. That's right. I was still in Token Entry when I filled in for Warzone. It was in the
Okay.
spring of '87. Yeah.
Damn.
And then then I was doing Warzone and GB, and then after that I was just doing GB and filling in for Killing Time.
Oh, that's right.
I
Damn,
was,
so many bands, man.
yeah. I was filling in for Killing Time in like '88. That's right, because I was playing because Rich moved over to guitar. And I think what had happened was Mike Sinkowitz left, and Rich moved over to guitar with Carl. So they needed a bass player. So I was playing bass with Killing Time.
Wow,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, wonderful. Oh my God, I think that was the show. I think it was when we played in. I think that was the show where we were in. I don't know if you were there. We played in Easton or Bethlehem,
Yeah.
and it was like it had become like a total white power scene.
Yes.
And just like, were you there
Unisound.
for that?
Unisound. Yeah. Coming Unity, the Unisound club, ultrasound. I forget the
Do you
club.
remember Anthony Caminali picking up the table and
Yeah.
slamming it down and
100%.
screaming?
Yes, I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Because it all started because I remember correctly, they picked on Howie
Yes.
and they were like saying anti-Semitic shit, and I
Yep.
got in somebody's face, which was hilarious
I remember that.
because it
I
was
remember
like,
that.
yeah. And I got in somebody's face, and then I'm thinking to myself, man, I better like keep up this posturing because if this guy hits me, he's gonna break me into 16 pieces. But then I remember coming on, he's slamming the table down. Swarm was there too, right?
Scrum was there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
I
God.
remember that,
Wait,
man.
what? Oh, that was that sucked because that scene was like the best scene. Remember?
Really great shows there,
Like,
man.
yeah. Remember the girls that put on the shows, Jenny, and Mary.
Yeah, and there was like a half pipe there, and there was like good vibes. The promoter was super cool, and he
And
was
didn't you
awesome.
have to go through like a furniture store to get there or something?
Maybe it sounds right.
I think you had to. I think you had to go through. It was upstairs. I think you had to go through a furniture store
Jesus,
and then and then and then go upstairs to it, if I remember correctly.
that
Jesus
sounds like
Christ.
something to be a show at for sure back then.
Yeah.
But I remember after you smashed that table down, it got really quiet. It was crazy. I remember that was like,
Yeah, it got quiet when Anthony was slamming the table because
I
he was just so
know.
terrifying. He
Yeah.
just like all the Jackson Heights came out in him. Just screaming like an angry bear. I
Yeah.
remember. Oh my
So,
God.
so how did you? Let's go back a little bit. How did you actually? Obviously, you were born in Queens. Um, did you go to school with any of these guys? Like, how did you meet everyone back then when you were so young?
All right. So the way it happened was, so I was born in Jackson Heights, and I was raised between Jackson Heights with my mom and then Astoria with my dad.
Yep.
So I hadn't gone to Astoria in years. So basically, rewind. When I was a kid, I knew Johnny Steigerwald and Ernie Parada of Token Entry. I knew them because, so the way it was, I lived on 36th Street. My grandparents, my dad lived on 36th Street in Astoria, and each block had its alleyway.
Yeah.
So the block on which I lived had a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So I used to love to go there. So we used to hang out in the alleyway. And now we're talking, I mean, I must have been like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And 10 or 11 years old. And I remember Johnny and Ernie came up, because Johnny and Ernie were from they were from 35th Street. They were from the street over.
Okay.
And they came up our alleyway, and they were wearing cut-off denim jackets with Ramones painted on the back that I guess Ernie had done, because Ernie was always an artist.
Yeah.
And I remember they were sitting at the top of the alleyway in the summertime listening to the Ramones. And I remember distinctly hearing Blitzkrieg Bop and just being, thinking to myself, what is this? What is this? And being kind of scared of them because they were like, the way they looked was really different from my alleyway. But I knew them from then. And then I didn't see my dad for a few years because, broken families, whatever happens.
Yeah.
But then when I was 15, my dad got sober, and then he got in touch with us, and we went and we spent the summer when I turned 15 to 16 in Astoria. We stayed with him.
Okay.
And that's when I saw, and by then I was playing guitar and bass and everything. And I ran into Johnny and Ernie again, and they were like, Gilligan's Revenge was already over.
Yeah.
And Token Entry had just started up. And, I just started, Ernie's really, he's really, really gregarious and friendly. And he was just, he wanted to hang out. And I remember, it's so funny because I just saw Johnny Steigerwald a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about this. And they came over to my house, and Johnny and Ernie were amazed that I had an actual Fender jazz bass, that I had a real Fender bass. Yeah. Johnny and I were just talking about this.
That's awesome.
And I love Johnny. Johnny's just one of the best people ever. And so we started hanging out, and I kind of just became like a tag along with Token Entry. And then my first job was at Waldbaum's, which is a supermarket down the block.
Well, I just remember.
It was between 20th and 19th Avenues in Astoria. And I met Walter there because I went in for my first day at work. And then they said, "Oh, Wally's going to train you. Go find him." I said, "I don't know who Wally is." And they started laughing. They said, "Oh, he looks just like you." So I started walking down the aisles in this massive supermarket in Queens.
Yeah.
And I see this kid walking down one aisle from the back. He had high top New Balance that weren't tied, really heavily cuffed Levi's, and a crew cut, right? And I said, "Hey, Wally," and he turned around, and then he turned around and smiled, and all I saw were silver. He just had a mouthful of braces. And he said, "You're the new guy." "Yeah, I'm just going to train you." So I remember him training me. And then he just asked, I remember him asking me, what kind of music do you like? And I told him, and he asked me, do you ever go to CBGB? I said, "Yeah, we go every Sunday." And he asked if he can come with us. Yeah. He said, and he asked if he can come with us. And then, from that moment on, Walter and I were pretty much inseparable. But he was really into cool music. Like Walter, because he always was into like the newest things, and always showed me really cool bands. Like Walter's the one who showed me the Replacements, for example. Yeah. And I mean, even to this day, like we were in California 2 weeks ago, and we're in the RV because we got around with an RV. Yeah. And Walter was the DJ. He was just playing all this really cool music, and it just made me laugh that like I've known Walter 34 years, and he's still showing me music. And whatnot.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah.
But the funny thing is that I went to high school with Civ, but I didn't know him. I didn't meet Civ until Walter met him. Okay. So Walter and I were like really inseparable, and he lived in Astoria too. So we were together every day. He went to LIC high school. I went to McClatchy, but we would meet after school and skate around and just hang out with all the Astoria punks and whatnot. And then I forgot exactly how Walter met Civ, but that's what, and I was like, wait, we go to the same high school. And Civ, I don't know if you remember this, but this was a few years ago. I remember asking him, dude, how did we go to the same high school and we never knew each other? He goes, because you took all the smart person classes and I took all the idiot classes. Which is really funny because Civ is like one of the smartest people I know. Oh, but he just, he didn't care too much for high school. But so that's how I met those guys. But
and how were you in high school?
How was I? Oh my God. Jeez, I used to take abuse. Okay, so my high school was an all boys Catholic high school.
Oh wow.
Um, I'm not Catholic, but whatever, it doesn't matter. So it was an all boys Catholic high school, and there were one. Okay, so in my junior year, there was Ernie, Danny Zick, Gus Pena. There were five punks out of 1,000 kids.
Damn.
Yeah, Ernie Parada, and he was a year older than me. Danny Zick and Gus Pena, who were a year younger than me. 6. This other kid whose name was, oh my God, I forgot his name, and Civ. So there were 6 out of 1,000 kids.
Damn.
And yeah, and I was like, dude, I was never intimidating. And back then I wasn't as outgoing and social, so I was more quiet.
Yeah.
So all the metal kids and all like the Rockaway trash kids would always like make fun of me and always pick fights with me.
Damn.
So high school was kind of hell. But I remember 2 things that were amazing. One was Anthony Caminale came to pick me up one day. He had a brown Trans Am.
Sick.
And he shows up. Yeah, he shows up. I walk out of high school and he's parked in front of my school in Jackson Heights, and he's like just leaning with his legs crossed against his arms crossed in front of him and his legs crossed as he's leaning against the hood of his car, and he's wearing like 14-hole red Doc Martens, cuffed Levi's,
Sick.
I think a matching red sweater and a black leather jacket with choker entry painted on the back. And I think he had his hair soap spiked, and he had a do-rag on too. So he looked like a maniac. Yeah, he looked like a maniac. And Anthony was, just standing there. And I walk up, and then like nobody fucked with me that day.
That's awesome. That's like an 80s. That's like an 80s movie, man. Straight out of a movie.
It's straight out of an 80s movie. It really is. And the funny thing is that I could see it in my mind's eye right now. I could see Anthony Caminale.
Yeah.
And I just remember I was psyched for 2 reasons. I was psyched, first of all, that I loved Anthony. Anthony was like the professor.
Yeah.
I always say Anthony Caminale's punk rock and hardcore 101. Once he came around, and Anthony's like one of the most generous people I know, whether it's like giving you clothing, giving you money, or giving you like lessons. And so I was just really psyched that this guy I looked up to was coming to pick me up at school, but it was also just kind of cool that all of a sudden all these, pseudo tough guys suddenly weren't so tough,
I love that, man. And how much older was he?
Anthony's just a year.
Oh, okay.
He was a year. He was in his senior year. I think that's why he was out early.
Yeah.
Because it was his senior year. And then funny thing happened though, like when I became a senior at Clancy, all the kids that used to pick on me either got thrown out of the school, or they grew up. And senior year I had the time of my life.
That's awesome.
It was really, really great. It was like I did all the penance beforehand in junior year, suffered and whatnot, but just it's funny because like kids now, like the punk style is just so mainstream, I guess, and just so acceptable. And I mean, you went through it too. You grew up in freaking Maryland. I bet you took freaking abuse. But maybe did you take abuse, or did you like offset it because you were hilarious?
No, dude. I definitely going from Newport, Rhode Island to Southern Maryland was a culture shock for sure. Rebel flags and the segregation and the rednecks and just having like checkered Vans or like, I don't know, plaid pants on. I was a freak to these people, and there was no skaters there and stuff. For sure, got picked on, called names. But then like again, they'd see me drive around. Rusty had a mohawk, and he was like the bigger dude. So Rusty was like our protector out there, like he's like my
Rusty
Anthony.
could drive a tractor too.
Exactly, Rusty's like my Anthony, my Anthony Caminale for you. The tractor hijacker. Yes.
We got it.
Oh, for sure. But yes.
Funniest stories, and I remember that. So I remember that so clearly. That's another one of those memories, like seeing Anthony outside that I'll never, like when I'm dying, and the movie of my life passes through. That'll be one of the highlights that I'll know in like complete HD detail. I'll see it.
The Rusty story.
I fucking love Rusty.
So you got good grades and you graduated, obviously.
What's that?
You graduated, right?
High school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got good grades, and did you have any goals?
Yeah,
like,
I did.
Did you have a goal or what you wanted to do at that point?
Well, I wanted to go to college, so I took AP level classes. So I graduated with 12 college credits.
Awesome.
But then I went to college and realized I didn't know what I was doing. I had no direction, so I just took off like a year and a half or 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was working, and that's when you and I went.
Myers research. Oh, shit, we could get into that. All right. I want to try something too. Arthur, are you talking on the phone? Can we try something? Because it's being. I don't want to. I don't want to lose. We waited so long to get on this podcast. Now the sound's going in and out. Can I see? Can you put your phone on speakerphone and try to talk to her? Like, can I see how that sounds?
Speakerphone? Yeah, hold on a
Put it on
second.
speaker, so it's not against your ear.
Wait. I might have to get my wife to tell me how to do this because I'm a Luddite and I don't know how to operate a phone. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on.
There's so much good content. But
What's this iPhone thing? Hold on one second.
Speaker.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think that's that way. That way you can just have it sitting somewhere. It's not moving. You can just talk into it. That's better. Yeah, way better. Say something again.
Hey.
Yeah, I think it's better, Arthur. Okay, let's get into Myers Research Center. Fucking psyched. So basically, I ended up leaving Timmy Chunks' house, and Arthur said I could come live with him and his dad and his sister, and in Astoria. And I remember they gave me. I don't know if I shared a room. I had my own room there, right, Arthur?
You shared a room with me.
Okay, I should.
Yeah, you shared a room with me because my sister had a bedroom, and then my grandparents had the other bedroom.
Yeah.
My dad lived in the basement, and then you lived in my room with me. What a weird situation. Now that I'm articulating and now I'm saying it out loud, it's just so weird.
It is weird.
Fucking weird situation. Yeah, you slept in my bedroom.
Yeah.
On the floor. Yeah. And it was small. Remember how small that room was?
Yeah, I had my little blanket with a hole in it. I could peek my eye through it.
But wait, tell everybody why you did that. Why you?
Well, I think you had. What did you say? The air conditioner was on too. I was freezing. I think you had me freezing in the room on the floor like a fucking ice cube. And now if I wanted to,
yelled at me for that.
What happened?
My sister yelled at me for that.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. When I told her, she's like, "Are you kidding me? That poor kid, you froze him to death in that room." Which is so funny now because now that I'm an adult, I hate air conditioning more than anything in the world. Fucking hate it. I like heat. That's the thing. It makes me crazy. It's like it just hit 60 degrees in New York and the subways have air conditioning on already. And my feeling is this: if it's 60 degrees and you need air conditioning, you probably need to go to a doctor because there's something wrong with you. There's no reason for it.
It's true. So
but back then, I guess I needed a doctor because I put the air conditioning on so high.
Yes, I was in your room and I was freezing in your room. I don't know why. So I had a hole in the blanket. Tell me about that. I'm trying to figure out the story. I peeked my eye through it or something, or.
I remember this. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and I looked over and I just saw you were underneath the blanket moving around, and it was just like a strange movement.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I just saw your head blast through. Okay, so you know how a baby chick breaks its head through an egg?
Totally.
That's what it was like. Because I gave you some old, like I think it was an army surplus blanket. It was really threadbare.
Yeah.
So it was like easy to rip, and you just pushed your head through it and made it into a poncho, so you could cover yourself.
Oh my God!
And I remember laughing, and I guess I don't know when you're I don't know. I guess when you're a teenager, you're not as considerate. Like if that happened now, I'd feel terrible about it. Back then, I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And that's when I told my sister about it, and she actually chastised me. She was like, "Are you kidding me? This fucking kid is freezing in the room. What's wrong with you? At least get him a good blanket." And I think I said to her, "Yeah, it was funny." And she's like, "It's not funny. The kid is freezing."
Oh my God. So you got me a job Arthur got me a job at Myers Research Center on 40th Street, Manhattan. We had to take the bus and the train to work, I think, from there, right? Yeah.
No, we just took the train.
Okay.
We would take the N train. The N train would take us right to Times Square. It was 58 West 40th. So it was 40th Street between 5th and 6th Avenues. And we were in the annex because there were two offices. There was the main office.
Right.
And then the office where the office where they put the people they wanted to hide. So it was you, me, Tom DeZorka was a boss.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Tom. Remember Tom? He used to smoke. So Tom DeZorka looked like a sheepdog. He had really long hair in front of his eyes, and he was writing a libretto. He was writing a musical.
Okay.
And remember he used to chain smoke. He used to chain smoke Tarrytown 100s.
Oh my God.
He never ate. He would just drink tons of coffee and chain smoke because you could smoke in offices in 1989.
Oh, that's right, dude. You could. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember how much he smoked? And remember how he would just start singing out of nowhere?
Yeah. What happened to this man? I wonder.
What's really weird? Around 1997, I ran into him on 7th Avenue South,
No
right
way.
off Christopher Street. Yeah. I was walking around with my sister, and it was when I was in Civ, and he looked exactly the same except his hair had gotten totally white.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to him. I mean, he was a raging alcoholic,
Yeah, I wonder
right?
if his thing ever came to light that he was writing that ever happened.
No, because we would have known about it. I mean,
Yeah.
like it was really sad because that was like his dream. I remember what he was always writing was the picture of Dorian Gray.
Okay.
That was the thing. And I remember when I first started working there, he used to, he used to send me, he would okay, so this is back in the day when he had to print out individual copies of the book and then I had to heat seal them.
Oh, wow.
And he would send me up to the Upper West Side to deliver the books that he made to the man who was writing the music, because he was writing the lyrics.
Got you.
Yeah, and I loved it because I was like, wow, I'm getting paid to go on an errand up to like 78th Street or something.
That's awesome.
And yeah. And then I remember we got everybody a job. Timmy Chunks had worked there for the summer of '87 with me.
Okay.
Because they hired everybody.
Yeah, I know.
They were just like,
okay. I think they gave me a title of I was the inter office coordinator. And that basically means I ordered like the staples and the fucking Post-its and the tape, all the fucking stupid stuff we had to use. That was my job title. I was so proud. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my god, inter-office coordinator. You know who else? Okay, so you worked there.
Yeah.
I worked there. Timmy Chunks worked there. Allison, Richie's sister Allison
right.
worked there. I think Richie's brother Peter worked there for a little while. Oh my God, everybody worked there. And so they really did. They hired everybody.
And what was your job? Like, were you calling people, and was it like a?
Yeah. So it was a market research firm. So people, I don't know, people are young, they won't even know what this is. So the robocalls that everybody gets now, we used to have to do them live.
That's right.
And we would call companies and just be like, hey, this is. So I remember one of the clients was Mannington Floors. So we used to have to do sheet vinyl flooring survey. We would just call these little businesses throughout the country and have them, answer a survey on sheet vinyl flooring.
Oh my God, man.
Another client I remember was RJ Reynolds Tobacco. And I remember that everybody that smoked cigarettes in the office, whenever the RJ Reynolds people were coming, they would give everybody Camel cigarettes. And if they smoked Marlboro, they would be like, you have to hide the Marlboro, because Marlboro was Philip Morris.
Oh, wow.
I know. Can you imagine that now?
That's crazy, man.
I know. Can you imagine that now? Like,
no.
Oh, it's disgusting. But but that's what it was. We were the people that had to call up and say, hey, would you want to conduct a 5-minute survey?
Yeah, that's hard, man.
Oh, that was horrible.
And then
then
go ahead.
I got promoted from that.
Okay.
And I was the call room supervisor, which was hilarious. Because what did I really do? I used to sit there and draw.
Yeah, so Arthur would draw these amazing pictures. So I had this obsession back then of drawing E.T. having sex with Mr. T, or vice versa. I would draw these crazy pictures of E.T. and Mr. T having sex and doing whatever. And then I found a picture there that Arthur drew of me. It's like an actual real portrait of me sitting with my arms crossed, sitting at the desk. Like an incredible drawing, man, that you did, man. And yeah, so that's the time we spent doing that stuff. But the E.T. and Mr. T shit, I don't know where that came from, why I was obsessed with that. It was totally fucked up and sexual insanity, and I don't know, man. That was.
I remember I would just ask you to draw things. You were really good. I remember I asked you. I remember, Jesus Christ, I can't believe we're talking about this. I remember asking you to draw a dick with E.T.'s head on it.
That's right. I killed that shit.
And you made him spitting. He was spitting. Like, What was wrong with us?
Do you have any of those pictures, man? Probably not.
I don't think I have them. I moved so much in that time. I don't think I have anything like that anymore. And if I did, it would have been at my family's house. But we sold that house.
Yeah.
We sold that shit 6 years ago. So I think everything must have gotten just shocked, which sucks because there were some amazing things in there.
I'm sure. What about Austin Green?
Austin Wilkinson.
Austin Wilkinson. Oh my God, man. He had like the cool, did he have a cool shiny Jerry curl with the chains? He was super.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had Yeah, and he was a really nice guy. Oh my God, what
Yes.
was his wife's name? Oh my God, she used to make the best sweet potato pie. Remember, he would bring in sweet potato pies. No, he would make them. He would make them. That's
Holy
right. It was. I
shit.
think it was his mother's recipe. He would make them. They were so freaking good, and I never had sweet potato pie before that.
Yeah.
He would bring in like 3 or 4 at a time, and I would eat like one all to myself.
Holy shit.
Connie was his girlfriend's
It
name.
was Connie. You are correct.
Connie. If I'm remembering this, he was a sweet dude, man.
Yeah.
He was a really, really nice guy, and oh my God, I remember I had to fire him.
You did?
They made me fire him because what happened was after you left.
Oh my God.
So that the company hadn't been run too wisely, so they had to get rid of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And because they had lost some clients or something, and they were like, okay, because I was the phone room supervisor at that point.
Yeah.
They were like, you have to fire Austin, and I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh man.
Like, he was so nice though. As I was doing it, I was so nervous, and he just looks at me, and goes, I know that they made you do this. I know this isn't you. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely not me. I don't have the power to do this. And you think I would? But that was a terrible thing, man, because
That
he was
sucks.
the sweetest guy.
I know.
Do you remember Bruce Brown?
Yeah, Bruce Brown. Yeah. Yeah.
Bruce Brown, Joe.
I don't remember these names. It's so crazy. Oh, what these people are doing, man.
Well, Bruce Brown would be like 90 right now. I'm not joking.
Yeah, he was
56.
old.
He was 56. That's 30 years ago. So he'd be 86 now.
Holy shit.
Well, let's let people know Bruce Brown. So Bruce Brown was an actor.
Okay.
He was a classically trained stage actor. And he used to speak. He was like one of the last people that spoke a version of the mid-Atlantic accent.
Yeah.
Where, the way that which used to be really popular amongst educated Northeastern people in the United States.
Yeah.
And he was a classically trained stage actor, but he also he was the DJ. He was the MC in the movie Eddie and the Cruisers.
Oh, wow.
So if anybody ever sees that movie, when the MC comes out, that's Bruce Brown.
Holy shit, I know that.
But he did voiceovers. That was his main thing, was voiceovers.
Okay.
And his agent's name was Joe. So he would, like, 4 times an hour, you would hear him in his cubicle. Because remember they had the cubicles with the carpeting on them, that made them soundproof supposedly, but they weren't soundproof at all. And we'd hear him go, Bruce Brown, Joe. Bruce Brown. And that's because I guess Joe would answer the phone, and he would say Bruce Brown, and he would be told whether or not he had any auditions or any calls or any jobs.
Wow.
But yeah, he was a character. He lived on 44th Street, just by the United Nations. I went to his apartment once.
Oh wow.
It was exactly what you would think it would be. It was the most amazing old school New York apartment with books everywhere.
Oh wow, that's cool. What if he's still around? How many years did you work there for?
I worked there. I started working there in, holy shit, 87, late 86. I worked there for 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked there for 3 years. No, 4 years. Because I left in 90 when I went back to school full time.
Okay.
I was going to school part time when I went back. And then in 90, I went back to college full time. So I couldn't work there anymore. And that's when I left. Yeah.
So what band? So in '90, you were in GB at that moment, right? When you went back to college?
90, I wasn't anything. No, I left GB in 89.
Okay.
I was working and I wanted to go back to school.
Okay.
And I wasn't really playing any music.
Yeah.
I was like doing little things here and there that weren't involved in hardcore or anything.
Yeah.
Like Anthony Caminali and I did a band called Angry Head.
Okay, I remember that.
It was with Petey Hines played drums. And oh my God, hold on, what's his name? Nasty Little Man.
Steve Martin.
Martin, I couldn't remember his last name. Steve Martin played guitar.
Oh wow.
And we did a couple of shows with CBs. It was actually a good band.
Yeah.
Angry Head was actually a really cool band, but we only did a couple shows, and one of them was at CB's.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the key to this is the way we got the name Angry Head. That's the key.
Let's hear it.
Well, like most brilliant concepts in New York hardcore, it came from the brain of Craig Satari.
Makes sense.
So this is the best story. Oh my God. Ask Craig about this and he'll tell it so much better. But so Killing Time played a show. I forgot where. So whenever Killing Time played shows, it was really funny because they would rent a U-Haul truck.
Yeah.
And they would bring 15 to 20 people with them, right?
In the back.
So we were in, but at this point, no, we didn't have a U-Haul truck in this show. This was a van. It was a cargo van. And I remember it was winter. It was fucking freezing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the show finished. I guess I don't know if it was Boston, Connecticut. I don't know where it was, but it's late at night. We're in this freezing ass van. Anthony Caminali got wasted. He was just like legless drunk, right?
Yeah.
We get in the van, and Anthony Caminali lays down in the back and wraps himself in a blanket, right?
Yeah.
So Craig and I are sitting there as awake as watchmen, right?
Yeah.
And because it's so goddamn cold and we're miserable. And Anthony's in the back, so we're talking, and now Anthony's getting really, really irate that everybody's talking because I guess he's tired from being drunk.
Yeah.
But it's dark. He's wrapped up, and all you could see is his head, right?
Yeah.
And he's just screaming at him, "Shut the fuck up!" Just screaming at everyone, right? And Craig looks at me and goes, "Kid, look at this." He goes, "Look at this. You can't see anything back there. All you can see is his angry head yelling at you."
I could totally picture Anthony, man.
And all you could see is like Anthony's Anthony's head. That's the only thing you could see was like the flesh of his face yelling at you. And and so we told him about it, and he loved it. So we decided that the band was going to be called Angry Head.
That's fucking awesome.
Angry Head was good. I mean, think about it. Like, Steve Martin's a great guitar player, really
Right.
good songwriter. Petey Hines was an amazing drummer.
Amazing drummer.
Yeah. So that was that. And then after I finished school, I that's when I got really back into it again, I guess. I was in Handsome.
That's right.
With Petey Hines.
That's right.
Yeah, with Petey Hines and Peter. It was funny because this is hilarious. So I found out that Handsome was auditioning as singer. So I was like, yeah, I can sing. So I went. I can't sing. I'm a terrible singer. I'm a terrible singer.
Yeah.
I can do like backups somewhat,
Yeah.
and see one of the things I love about being in Gorilla Biscuits is I don't have a mic.
Yeah,
And it's funny
awesome.
when we do line checks, they're like, how many mics? I'm like, none on this side. No. But back in 94, I thought I could sing. So I went to audition and I was awful. I mean, I was terrible.
Yeah.
But Petey Hines called me up like a few days later. He's like, so you suck as a singer. I'm like, yeah, I do, don't I? He said, but we got rid of our bass player.
Perfect.
So do you want to play bass? I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's probably what I should be doing anyway, because that's what I like doing the most.
Yeah.
So I was in Handsome, and then it was during that period that Walter wrote "Can't Wait 1 Minute More"
Damn.
and "At Brute," and we went to the studio and recorded those.
Wow.
And then if you remember, we did the video because Marco Siega, who
Yep.
was so successful now. I'm so psyched. It's so funny. We'll be watching just random shows on Netflix or Hulu or whatever with Caitlin, my wife.
Yep.
And then his name will come up, and I'll say, "Oh my God, there's Marco Siega." Like he's
killing
an old
it,
Jackson.
man.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. But I remember Walter saying, "Hey, we're gonna do a video for the song because Marcos wants to strike out on his own." So he called in all these favors that he was owed, and he got Kaufman Astoria Studios for a day, and he has this brilliant concept for a video.
Yep.
So I just remember we're like, okay, let's. Does everybody have like a 1960s mod suit? Yeah, we got it. All right, this is going to be the concept. We're going to look like this, but it's going to be a talk show, and all our friends are going to be the audience and whatnot.
So smart.
And you were there. You're like one of the stars of the video.
Hells yeah, my leopard thong and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was such a fun day too. It was a great concept, man. It's awesome. Such a great video.
I know. And how fun it was all day. Do you remember how long we were there?
Such a long day. So is that kind of how the look for Civ kind of started, just by that video?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it was, because the first few shows we wore the suits, and I remember by the fourth show I was like, I can't go on stage in a suit, man. It's too fucking hot.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to move around back then, and I was like, it's just too fucking hot.
Yeah.
So, but that's how it started. It was just for the video, because I remember. So the song, when Walter wrote the song and he was telling me about it, I remember him saying, all right, I want like a real 1960s bass tone on this. So all of a sudden I'm thinking The Who. Like that's it, and that's what we looked like.
Totally.
If you see the video, I mean, we all had the sunglasses, the crew cuts, 1960s suits, skinny ties and whatnot. And I just remember the funniest thing was though, the actual number of shots that they did with the band was minimal.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh my God, you know what the funniest thing is? It's still a sore spot with Charlie because a few years ago we were watching the video and they don't show Charlie at all.
They don't in the video?
It's the funniest thing. Everybody gets soloed. Like Sam gets soloed, Walter gets soloed. Obviously, Siv gets soloed because he's the band.
Yeah.
I get soloed, and Charlie never gets soloed. But there's one frame that's a wide frame, and you can see Charlie in the crowd in the back, like on the back. And Charlie, I remember one time a few years ago, he's like, "Pause it. Yeah, there I am. I'm the guitar player. That's me." You know how funny Charlie is.
So there was only two Siv songs written at that moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
There were only 2 songs written. Because it was only supposed to be, it was supposed to be a project just for fun, 7-inch, just to be like, hey, you know, Siv is still doing something, or I don't even know. This was like, I'm actually I shouldn't even, this is all conjecture here because it was Walter and Siv's idea.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Walter was like, you got to play bass on this. So it wasn't even a full band.
Yeah.
But then the video, McGee picked it up.
Off, man.
Yeah. What happened was it got to Scott McGee, who was Quicksand's manager.
Yep.
And I remember him saying this, you know, this is really good. This is a great song. And this video is amazing.
Yeah.
So he kind of started shopping it around.
Yeah.
And all these labels, I remember there was a bidding war with these labels. And then, you know, we decided we were going to go with Lava Atlantic for less money. Because, you know, we were like, all right, let's take less money because it's in advance. And, you know, we're going to have to pay it back. And, you know, we have faith in ourselves that maybe we'll be all right. So they gave us more points on the record because, you know, as you know, the record industry was the most exploitive in the world
100%.
Where, like, I mean, you know, a band gets 12 cents to every dollar that's sold on records.
Yeah.
And so I'm not one of those people, you know, whatever. I don't want to get into the politics of the record industry, but, no, Atlantic was they were good to us. They were really cool. And I remember that there was another band called Compulsion, I think.
Okay.
And they had done a video. They were from Ireland, and they had done a video that was kind of a talk show thing. And MTV was so behind ours that they wouldn't play their video.
Oh,
and
wow.
they were calling Atlantic Records. And they were saying this band needs to get their fucking record done and out because we want to break this, and we're not playing the other video.
Holy
shit! Yeah, and you know the funny thing was about, you know how that record was written, how Set Your Goals was written. It was hilarious because Walter was on tour with Quicksand.
Okay.
And he was sending little mini cassettes by FedEx every night. He would write the song. He would write the songs on the Quicksand tour bus, and he would mail them. He would mail them to 22 Leroy Street because that's where he was living with Charlie.
Yeah.
And when he was on tour, I was subletting, so I was living there with Charlie while he was on tour. And like every other day, a FedEx package would come with a little mini cassette, and Walter like whisper singing on the back of the Quicksand tour bus.
Holy
shit!
shit!
Yeah, 22 Leroy Street, just off of Bedford in the West Village. And anyway, so Walter finished that tour. And then that's when they were working on Manic Compression.
Yep.
So we decided, you know, we're going to record this thing at Fury's, of course. Why else wouldn't we? We're not going to make the same mistake that we made with Start Today, where we started recording it at Chungking.
Okay. And
then wasted time and money and got insulted in the process.
Yeah.
But, and then just ended up going to Fury anyway. So we recorded it at Fury's, but this was really funny because we would be recording the Civ album during the day or at night. And then we would leave, and Walter would be working on the Quicksand on Manic Compression, either day or night, depending. So he was like there, like 18 to 20 hours a day. He was at Fury Studio.
Man. Yeah.
And if you remember, Fury Studio was in the basement.
Yep.
Right. So this is the spring now. This is spring of '95. It was really one of the most beautiful springs in the world.
Yeah.
And I remember I was living over in Chinatown. I was living on Forsyth Street. And I just remember going to the studio, and Walter's like, "Yeah, man, I'm turning into a sleaze stack. I haven't seen the sun. In months." It was so funny. He's like, "My eyes have become like a cave person," and but we rushed. We got that record done, and that was one of the funnest recording sessions ever doing Set Your Goals, because it was like springtime.
Yeah.
The songs were like just coming together so fast.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just, you could hear it. You could hear it like in the song Don't Gotta Prove It.
Yeah.
That was the last song written. I remember I thought we were done recording, and Walter called me up and he was like, can you get here with a bass? I'm like, yeah, I live on Forsyth Street. I can get there in 10 minutes. And yeah, I'll bring my bass. And I remember he showed me the song that day. We recorded it that day, and then we did all the background vocals, and you could hear in that song the background vocals of like the way we were laughing, because we were just having the time of our lives.
Yeah, it seemed really fun.
Yeah. And then anyway, that's a really long digression, but then because before that, what happened was I was in Quicksand and not Quicksand, I was in Civ and Handsome. And then Pete Mangaday, they got their old bass player back.
So
because Pete Mangaday was pissed off that I wasn't and rightfully so. He was right that I wasn't committed to Handsome, and he was like, you got to choose a band. And then they were just like, we got our old bass player back, and everything worked out fine.
So is the Wait One More video getting airplay while you guys are still working on the album?
No.
Okay.
They held it because
they held it. Okay.
Yeah, because they didn't want to put the video out when there wasn't an album yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're like sitting on this video, waiting. Now we recorded the video in the fall of '94. Remember?
Yeah.
And the Civ album didn't come out till the summer of '95.
Okay.
It came out after H2O, Sick of It All, and Civ did that European tour for like 8,000 weeks. Remember that?
That was crazy.
The fucking longest tour ever. No, seriously, what were we out, like 9 weeks, Toby?
It was so fun though, man. Like I have so many pictures of us wrestling and pillow fights, and I remember chasing you guys around naked, and I was naked in the gymnasium chasing Arthur. No, you were chasing Sammy around and Charlie, and I rubbed poop on myself. Oh my god, dude.
That was the first time I saw a rope that tour.
Yeah, man. Rope's been discussed many times in this podcast, and it's definitely like something that if you weren't there, you missed it. It's like back then, it was something I could do when I first became vegetarian.
Well, Sick of It All were telling me. I remember Armand and Craig trying to describe it to me, and I'm just thinking to myself, they're hyperbolizing. It can't be like this. And then I remember we were in Germany. It was a beautiful fucking day, and we were in Germany behind the club, and they put down a pizza box, and you stood I don't know how many feet away, and I'm just looking at Armand and Craig, and they, how they start laughing, and I said, I still don't believe it. And then I remember being both amazed and horrified at the same time. Because the thing is, your aim was good. You hit the pizza box.
Yeah. You're like, yo, what did you guys do to my little friend from Maryland who used to sleep in my house with a blanket? Why'd you guys fuck this dude up? And I was like shitting his pants and doing pussy boy and fucking running around like Gigi Allen. Like, fuck, man. Oh my God, dude. And that's something that I bring up too. Is a constant undergoing theme of this, and I never got this from you, and that's why. And that's why I don't know. I have a different bond with you, but there was this, this New York tough love ball breaking where they call me the girly man from Maryland. They'd fucking pick on me. They find your weakest point. They poke at it till you fucking crack. And it's something that it was a very New York thing, and I got that tough love when I moved there, and I never got that from you. Like we were just automatically friends and close, and there was ball breaking, but it wasn't like, those motherfuckers had me shave my head for 5 years. They told me I was bald, and now I still have a full head of hair. Like they had me fucked up, and that's like this New York like. So the whole
No, you're right, and it's just everybody was just like, you got to be a dick to each other, basically.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, I couldn't do that, man. I couldn't be that guy. I also, because I got some shit too. Like I got some shit from people, and I just didn't like to give it. It wasn't my style to do it.
Yeah.
And but Craig probably. Oh my God, he got the most shit between you. What you today did to him and AF.
Yeah. He talked about it on the podcast already. So I think in turn he did that to me, and all the Sick of It All wrote. It's like a whole thing. It's like a, it's ongoing.
It's perpetuating. Yeah.
Even to this day, he'll take a shot on me on Instagram about my hairline. This is we're both grown men. It's like it's still this continuation of the ball breaking. But I know it's love. I know it's not from a mean place. It's it's just. But fuck.
Oh my
God.
Craig is the funniest guy. One of the funniest things Craig said to me in recent years was a few years ago. We played a show, and oh my God, I had just gotten my chest tattooed.
Yeah.
Anyway, we played the show, and I go backstage, so I'm changing out, so I had no shirt on.
Oh
As
man,
I'm
yeah.
changing backstage, Craig comes up to me and goes, "Look at this! Look at this!" He goes, "Look at this guy. It's you got the body of a 10-year-old and the head of a full-grown man." But the best is part 2 of that story. He said,
Tell
I
me.
just got my chest tattooed, and Vinny Stigman walks by. He goes, "Hey, Artie, good to see you." He goes, "You gonna get a chest for that tattoo?" So I got a fucking double whammy from Craig and Vinny.
And you've always been skinny too your whole life, man. Ever since I known you.
Yeah. I've always been
skinny.
this way.
Um,
Yeah.
So let's go back a little bit. Obviously I lived in the GB house after you. I lived in the closet. Everybody knows. I mean, people that know that I slept in the closet of Alan Cage's.
Alan Cage's room. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also remember that like for some reason I ended like making out with Marco Siega's cousin in my closet once, and because I met her because I worked at the studio where you guys always practice. Like it was like GB and Youth of Today. There he let me work there and like book the bands, their times and stuff. And I remember.
Wait. The studio on 93rd Street in Jackson Heights.
Yes. Yeah.
The one that Marcos ended up buying.
Yeah, I worked there for a little bit. Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I
totally forgot.
Yeah.
That was a good studio. They had a Fender Bassman 135 amplifier in there. I love that amplifier.
No, you didn't.
Anyway, things you remember, yeah.
But I remember also like you said about Walter and like his open-mindedness for music. I remember him playing like Sugar Cubes in the house and the Smiths. I never heard any of that music before, and he was always playing that in the house.
Walter has to see the Sugar Cubes at CBGB.
Oh wow.
And yeah. It was all because of Walter. I mean, I never would have gotten into any of that music.
Yeah.
And they were unbelievable, and there was such a hype around them, and CB's was packed. It was obviously a night show.
Yeah.
And we went to talk to them after, and they were the meanest people in the world. They weren't nice. They weren't nice at all. Funny thing is, years later, I was walking up West Broadway, and all of a sudden it was a really nice day, and there was a breeze blowing, and I'm like, "What is that smell?" It was like the best smell in the world, and you lived in New York.
Yep.
And when it's warm out, there aren't many good, nice smells,
No.
And I turn around, and right next to me was Bjork. And she just smelled, dude, she smelled like, I don't know, like lilies and clean laundry. It was the most insane thing. Yeah. I didn't say anything to her, but I wanted to say, "Hey, do you remember me? My friend and I, who looked a lot like me, when you played CBGBs, we went up to talk to you, and your whole band was really mean to us."
That sucks, man.
That's all right. It might have been a language barrier thing.
Yeah, but somebody's off day. And so as far as the Start Today record is concerned too, did you obviously you're just making a record with your friends? Did you realize what kind of impact that record would have? And like just seeing you guys play a couple weeks ago over here, get a sold out California run, and over almost 30 years that record. I don't know how long the record's been out, since 88. It's insane, Arthur. It's crazy.
No, I had no idea. So that record, right. We should talk about that record. That's a little. It's a little
important.
A little bit. Yeah, that record. No, I had never. Okay, so basically, just trying to be succinct about it. So GB started off. It was kind of a joke band. Yeah. Because everybody was goofballs, and Walter wrote all these silly songs like the Mr. T song. Yeah. Mr. T song was amazing. It would start up with a thrash beat. It just went, T don't die, just goes to hell to regroup. And then it went into like classic New York mosh. And Walter and I were just singing this together because it had a call and response too. So the mosh part was, pity the fool. And then it would go, and somebody would go, and you go, pity. And then you both go, pity the fool. And we actually played that song live at the Right Track Inn.
Holy shit! I didn't even know that. It's crazy.
Yeah, so that's what GB was in the beginning. I mean, come on, the name.
Yeah, I know.
Do you think we were a serious band? So then Walter wrote those. He wrote a couple of really cool songs. He wrote, No Reason Why. And Big Mouth. But then the first inkling I got, honestly, the thing that I remember that was really a seminal moment. Yeah. That Walter was a serious songwriter was when he brought High Hopes out. It was I had just gotten kicked out of Token Entry, and I was kind of bummed out. Yeah. And he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I wrote this song thinking about you." He's like, "Things are great for you now. Just think about it." He goes, I remember the word he used. He goes, "You're a commodity on the scene." He said, "You can be in any band now." He's like, "You could focus on GB and play bass, which you love to do. So I wrote this song for you." And he wrote High Hopes. And Yeah. So I had an idea that, he could write songs, and then Forgotten came after that, which I thought was great.
Great song.
And then in the interim, he wrote Understand, the music to Understand for Youth of Today.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, which I think was one of the best songs ever. And so I kind of had this feeling that he really was talented, but then he started writing the stuff for Start Today. And yeah. And then, I mean,
it's crazy.
Competition.
Yeah.
I remember when he came out with Competition, which was like completely influenced by Two Hearts Beat as One by U2.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that.
Yeah, think about it. Think about that breakdown with the bass. That's straight up like Two Hearts Beat as One.
Holy shit.
With the with the double hits on the hi-hat.
Yeah.
And then I mean, Time Flies and Start Today. And Start Today itself, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But then it's a funny thing. All right, so we started recording that record at Chungking Studios, and that studio never really did hardcore, so they didn't understand. And Rev didn't have money, so we would get studio time at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Damn.
So I remember winter of 88, 89, and Chungking was down in Chinatown, and so Luke lived deep in Brooklyn, and I lived in Queens.
Yeah.
And so we had to do the bass and drum tracks. So I remember it was freezing, and we had to be at the studio at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So we stayed at my ex-girlfriend's dorm on her floor, because she was going to NYU, and she was at Weinstein, which is on University Place. And we stayed there and woke up in the middle of the night and went over to the studio, and we're laying down tracks. And, the engineer couldn't stand us because we were like these goofballs that they didn't take too seriously. But one of the things that happened at Chungking was that, Walter wrote one of the greatest songs ever. So I recorded that album on a natural wood Fender Precision bass with a black pickup, and Walter recorded it on a natural wood Stratocaster with a black pickup. And the funny thing is that the Stratocaster was mine, I sold it to Walter's, and the Precision bass was Walter's, and he sold it to me. But they looked exactly the same. Yeah. So they looked exact. So because I had left Underdog and I wasn't in Token Entry, so I sold him my guitar, and he sold me that bass because I really wanted it. Anyway, but they were sitting right next to each other, the instruments, and we're bored now, right? Because there's just nothing to do, and this engineer's taking forever and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the guitars were right next to each other, and Walter's like, hey, I got a song. And he starts going, boom, 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 boom. And it goes, because we're all skinny and we have the same guitars, we're tall, tall, skinny, and we have the same guitars. And he does this song, and it's like the goofiest, most annoying thing in the world. So whenever we were bored, and remember, we're like 19, 20 years old, so we're bored all the time, right?
Yeah.
We started singing this song. And so there was one night, the engineer, I think he was a coke fiend, and he didn't have any coke, so he was really, really irritable,
cranky and shit. Yeah.
And he was trying to get something together. So Walter and I started doing Tall and Skinny, and he snapped. He's like, "Okay, guys, no fucking Tall and Skinny tonight, all right? No fucking Tall and Skinny." So Walter and I looked at each other, and we read each other's minds and started going, "Because we're tall, skinny, and we have the same guitars," and we were just doing this stupid thing. But anyway, we started realizing that it was wasting time at Chungking. So I remember Walter telling me we're going to scrap everything and we're going to do it at Fury. I was like, all right, fine. It's fine by me. I'll just show up and play the bass. So we started recording it at Fury, and that's when it got really serious.
Okay.
And we had the whole record done. This is an interesting story. It's so weird, Toby, because I was just talking about this too with Walter like in the last month or so.
Yeah.
We had the whole record done. And then Walter comes up. He's like, I got one more song. We got to record it. And I was like, really? And it was a song that became a little important in the album. New Direction.
Oh, wow.
New Direction almost wasn't on that record.
Holy shit.
Walter wrote it after the record was all recorded. It was done. And he comes in with a song. And that's when my jaw dropped. And that's when I just thought to myself, all right, this guy he's on another level now, because it's just,
New Direction came in at the very end. Wow.
It was Toby, everything else was done. Every other song was recorded.
Holy shit.
And it's
Final
so
hour.
funny because, I mean, can you imagine how different that record would be if it didn't start with New Direction?
No, dude.
I know.
Fuck.
I know. It's just really, really, but we just thought we made a good record. That was it.
Whose idea was the horns? The horns in the beginning.
I think it was Dylan's.
Okay.
I think it was Dylan, Walter's little brother. Don't quote me on that. I
Yeah.
know Dylan is the one that found them. Dylan is the one that found those horns because they were public domain, so we didn't have to get any permission to use them.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm fairly certain it was Dylan's idea.
Awesome.
I mean, I think Dylan is also the one that drew the crazy guy with his arms over his head.
Yeah, I think that's true too.
Yeah, I think Dylan drew that. But yeah, and I remember, Jesus God, and there were delays in putting the record out. But I knew it was a good record. I just, to me, it was never going to be in the canon of like Victim in Pain or Age of Quarrel or anything like that.
Yeah, but it was. It had its own lane. You know what I mean? It's crazy that what it's become and how much power and impact it's had on the world. Me personally, obviously, to be able to sing backups on that record with you guys and be part of those lyrics and those gang vocals,
Yeah,
that was so fun.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. It
was so fun, man.
It's a good record. I think it holds up. It really does. I mean, it's funny because I don't really listen to it now because we play so differently.
Yeah,
like we groove more. I mean, we're better musicians now too.
Yeah,
like we can. So, but it's funny because like, we won't play for a little while and then we'll rehearse and it'll just hit me how good some of this, like recently it hit me how good the song Time Flies is. The song is freaking genius,
Yeah.
And I mean, Walter hooked me up big time too. So the GB, there's so many moments where the bassist feature, and this is actually funny. Walter said to me a few years ago, it was actually when we first started playing again and I hadn't played the songs in a while and I was relearning them. And I said, Walter, you really hooked me up over here. There's so many. This is a bass heavy band. He's like, and he's like, yeah, it was by design. I think he goes, you remember when we were kids, you were the only one who knew how to play your instrument. So I figured I got to write songs around this guy. Hilarious, right?
Yeah.
Because now Lucas is an amazing drummer, and Walter, I mean, and Civ is an incredible singer.
Yeah.
I mean, well, Civ was always, there was never a problem with Civ's voice, but we were young, and I mean, Walter's become an incredible guitar player now.
And songwriter. I think he's like one. Like I put Walter up there with Tim from Rancid, like on the West Coast. He's like the East Coast.
Easy,
dude.
Easy. And the thing is, Toby, we did a few years ago. We were doing Walter Schreiffel's band.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because there's so many songs that nobody's heard that he hasn't recorded, or that he's recorded and just has sitting around.
Yeah.
Like some of the best songs, the stuff that he throws away is better than like the best thing I've ever written.
Damn.
And I actually recently I said, I was bringing up some of the songs. He's like, yeah, that's a good song. And I'm looking at him saying, it's not a good song. It's an amazing song.
Yeah.
It's an incredible song. They were like, I can think of 3 songs like off the top of my head that I just told him, just record them, release them, and I'll play bass on them and be the happiest person in the world to be playing on them,
Yeah.
But well, he's versatile too, because the thing about Walter is he can write in so many different styles, and I think it's because his taste in music is so eclectic.
I love that. I mean,
we were saying before, he's always into new things and showing me, and even if the new things are old things, like obscure 60s stuff that he's showing me, he's just so, it's encyclopedic. It's incredible how much his music he knows.
Yeah.
And Do
you remember the first time you heard Quicksand?
Yeah, I remember my mind was blown.
Dude.
I remember my mind was completely blown, and I thought to myself, wow, this little guy that was like, my goofball partner with a stupid name, because we had this 2 tall, skinny guys with dumb names, and skateboarding and goofing around and showing me how to clean breakages in aisle 6 at the supermarket. Oh yeah, that's a great story how he trained me. But anyway, but I just remember thinking, wow, this guy is just a big league songwriter now. Like, this is major. And it's funny because I thought Quicksand was going to be huge. And Walter has just a much more sanguine view on things, because I remember him saying to me, he said, yeah, you know what, Arthur, for you and me, coming from the music that we do, but think about people that are just normal people that don't grow up with the music we do. I think Quicksand was just a little weird for them.
Yeah.
But, dude, I mean, Slip is flawless. I think Manic Compression's amazing too. Manic Compression got some of the best shit on there.
I know.
I loved Quicksand.
It was incredible to see them come from there. Yeah, just all that, even like GB to Civ, just all those different little journeys you guys always stuck together and maybe switched different players in different bands, and you guys stayed such a tight unit. You know what I mean? It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like this. Um, Walter and Civ, I mean, they were my co-best men at my wedding last year, and there's
Yeah,
a reason for that.
yeah,
There was no question. There was no question. It
yeah.
was, when Caitlin and I were planning the wedding, it's like, I'm gonna have two best men. She just looked at me like, yeah, of course you are, and you don't even have to tell me who they are,
Awesome.
because, you know, I mean, look, I came, people, we go in and out of each other's lives, and I
Yep.
came to this conclusion years ago with those two guys. I said, when they're in my life, it's always a better life than when they're not.
Yeah.
So, for whether they like it or not, they're in my life, and that's it, And
Yeah.
I mean, I know I drive, Civ crazy, because that's, I could be really annoying and immature and whatnot. But that's my guy, and Walter's my guy, and
Yeah.
I mean, Luke is, and Alex was, and
Yeah, man.
and Charlie, Charlie's Charlie. He's one of my favorite people in the world.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've been in a band a long time. You know that how
Totally.
it becomes with people after you know when you finish your 20s, which are so tumultuous, and then you start to grow up, and the things that you used to fight over, you don't anymore.
Yeah.
Like, because
100%.
the ego goes away. You become comfortable with yourself. I mean, that's the thing. I think about myself in my teens and my 20s, and I wanted to be noticed on stage. And I wanted
Mm-hmm.
attention.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to be noticed unless I'm being noticed by my wife or another musician that wants to talk about playing bass.
100%.
I don't. It's like that's why I'm a bass player. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm the background guy. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But it speaks to a greater thing where you're just you become comfortable and with yourself, and so your relationships with your bandmates. I'm sure you have this with your guys, and especially Rusty, because Rusty so long.
Yeah.
Uh, you're family.
100%.
And we drive each other crazy. It's what we do.
Yeah.
There are
Dysfunctional
times
family at times. Yeah.
it's because we're all dysfunctional. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten to this idiotic music that we did, right?
100%. Yeah. We're all fucked up. When like,
We're
it's,
all fucked in the head somehow. Yeah.
and
I don't
like,
know where it happened or when it happened, but it happened
and
at
we're all
some
big,
point.
and we're still big kids. And I think it's because we play music, and it is the genre we got involved in. And there's something so special about this. It really keeps you young, man. I don't know.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you, because it's like, you know, I still, every time we play, I mean, I have more fun now than I ever did. I mean, there are a number of reasons for that. I think I appreciate life more now, and I appreciate the
Mm-hmm.
fact that at this age I could still do this and people still care.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too, because I stopped drinking 6 years ago,
Yeah.
so that made all the difference in the world. Like,
Yeah.
because even if I didn't drink before I played, which I did, but even if I didn't, it's like people don't realize that alcohol stays in your system, and even if you're not drunk, it affects the way. I read this study last year
Mm-hmm.
on how if you okay, let's say you get drunk the next day, even when after you're sober, your brain functions are still impeded and slower.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and I was drinking every night, so my brain was never catching up.
Yeah.
And once I stopped drinking, well, one, I think I became easier to get along with, because I didn't have the irritability of being a hungover asshole. And the other thing is, I became a better bass player. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember the first show we played after I got sober was in Germany. And after we played, it was this really weird, like, labyrinthine backstage area, and I heard Walter and Civ around the corner talking, and they were just like, "Yeah, Smil's bass playing is better than it's ever been." And I remember, I think Civ said something like, "Yeah, because he's not drinking now."
Wow.
And yeah, and then Walter told me that on another occasion too, and I just I'm there now. I this is just my personal thing. I'm there. I'm 100% focused now,
Yeah.
and I'm realizing that, like, there are few things in this world I love to do more than play the bass. And but I don't know. I digress with that. But
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
how long?
it keeps us young.
Yeah. How long were you drinking for? Was it like just like long time?
God damn it, too long
Yeah.
and too heavy and too much of it. I mean, that's the thing. It's like everybody's got their moment, and I'm
Yeah.
not one of those people. I can't stand alcoholics that once they get sober, they get self-righteous and they think everybody's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
No. And no, they're not. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not. there are times people go through things, and sometimes people drink a lot, and then they don't anymore, and they're normal.
Yeah.
Me, there was no doubt about it. There was no question about it. It was, I was really, really, truly out of control.
Yeah.
And I was, it's a story that doesn't end well, no matter what. Once you cross that line into addictive behavior, the story ends the same. Each chapter leading up to it may have different nuances and different details, but the end is always the same.
Yeah.
It's always it's a wrecked life, and it's a life of might have beens and regrets and wasted opportunities. So
yeah,
I decided I didn't want my book to end that way.
I love that.
And I just woke up one day. I mean, it wasn't easy. I mean, I woke up and I was just like, all right, this is it. I can't live like this anymore, because either I'm going to keep living like this and I'm going to end up getting sick, dying, doing something insanely stupid.
Yeah.
Or I got to get my shit together and really live. And I didn't tell anybody. I just did it one day. Yeah. And I mean, it didn't, I prepared for it, and I was like thinking about it. And then one day I'm like, this is my day. This is the day I'm doing it. And then I remember it was like 2 months later, I told Civ, 2 or 3 months later, I went out to the shop with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, so just got to tell you something. And what is it? And I said, I haven't had a drink in like 2.5 months.
It's crazy.
He just looked at me. Yeah, he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to be done. Because I mean, that's the other thing too. You're just trying every day, because it's really an insidious condition where, you can just, all of a sudden you're just like, I want this. I mean, there are times now, it's funny because like my wife is like the kindest, most understanding person, and we'll go out for somebody's birthday or something.
Yeah.
And, she's so sweet too, because she'll always say, do you mind if I have a drink? And I'm like,
oh, that's cute. Awesome.
Yeah, no, she's the best. She's the best. And there are times where I'll just look at her and be like, I gotta go, babe. I'll be in a bar, and there are nights where I'm fine, where I'm like, I couldn't give a shit, I'm having a good time. And then other nights where I'm like, I gotta go. I'm really tempted. I gotta go. And that's the thing about it, that you have to be vigilant, because, it can come up behind you, and before you know it, you got this temptation, and if you don't have a support system and people there for you, you just end up in that, that same destructive pattern again, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
did you lose connection with everybody for a while? Did you ever go into a dark place where you didn't contact these guys? And
no, I didn't lose connection with I mean, that came years before with other things I did. But with alcohol was the alcohol was just, I was just drinking just way too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember we played. This was I should have probably stopped at this point. I should have probably stopped in the points before that. But I remember one thing in particular. In 2012, we played This Is Hardcore, and I got to Philadelphia really early, and there was a bottle of gin in the backstage area, and I was drinking, and then Civ got there like 2 or 3 hours before we were supposed to play. Walked in, and I'm got this bottle of gin, and I'm drinking, pulling from the bottle, and Civ did the most badass thing in the world, and he wasn't being condescending, he wasn't being parental or imperious. He just walked up, took the bottle out of my hand, and put a bottle of water in my hand.
Wow.
Didn't say a word. I just looked at him like, you're probably right. So I remember I drank a lot of water, and I sobered up and played that show. But I remember thinking, like, what if Civ had come later, or what if Civ weren't the person that he is? How would I have gone out that night and played,
Yeah.
And that's just, sorry, man. They're, kids are paying to see a band, and the last thing you want to go up there and see some idiot that's too drunk to play. Like, that's so disrespectful. It's disrespectful, to the kids that go to the show, and disrespectful to your bandmates and to everybody. But
yeah.
Anyway, no, I just was, I mean, I knew I had a problem for years. I just, ignored it. Or what I would do is I'd make a joke about it, because then what happens is, if I mention it and joke that I'm an alcoholic, when you tell me I'm an alcoholic, yeah, I know, I just said that,
Yeah.
So it's
put it out there.
It's a manipulative little game that addicts play. Addicts are really, really great at manipulating. We're really good at that.
Yeah.
And that was a game I used to play, and then I just realized, what am I doing over here?
Yeah,
I can be better than this.
My bass player Adam was like that too for many years. We had all left New York. He was there by
Yep.
himself. He was working at a bar, and he got caught up in that lifestyle, and it went on for a long time. And he had some near-death experiences, and now I think he's about sober too, like maybe 6 or maybe 7 years now too.
He's about a year before me. Yeah. He and I
Yeah.
have talked about it. Yeah. He's about a year before me. Yeah.
He turned his life around, got married, found the love of his life. Now he's addicted to training. He's like in the best shape of his life, and he's turned it around. And
Dude, you know what's so funny? And I was just going to say that you said that. What's so funny is that, so I quit drinking, and then I met Caitlin like 5.5 months later.
wow,
I met, yeah, who is the love of my life and is my wife. And you know, that's incredible. And like, had I been drinking, that never would have happened.
yeah, I agree.
Never. It wouldn't have, because I approached life differently. And she's just, you know, Caitlin's only 29, but she's so mature beyond her years.
Yeah,
And she's 23 when I met her. And there's no way that she would have tolerated that person or gotten together with that person, because she just doesn't, she can't abide it. She's got a bullshit detector, and she doesn't tolerate it. And
I love that.
Yeah. And I know that Adam, he met his wife. Yeah. He met his wife after he sobered up, right?
Yeah, probably around the same time, maybe 5 or 6. Yeah, man, for sure. It's fucking crazy.
It's a better way to live. It's also a less expensive way to live.
Yeah. Arthur, do you have any regrets, you think, or no?
Yeah, and we all do. I mean, one of the things that'll kill me till the day I die is the way I left GB in '89.
Yeah, you never talked about that. Yeah, what happened?
You know, I was young and cowardly, and I really left them high and dry. You know, we were getting ready to go on tour to Europe, and you know, I quit. I just quit, and
wow.
Yeah, and it was not okay the way I did it. You know, leaving the band. I mean, that was stupid, but whatever. Yeah. You want to leave the band, that's one thing. It's the same thing as, like, to me, it's the equivalent of breaking up with your partner via text.
Totally.
You don't do that.
You don't do that. Yeah.
And you know, I've talked about it with Walter, and you know, Walter's a really good guy. He's a really balanced guy, and he's very zen about a lot of things. And,
yeah.
You know, it's me. I don't hold that against you. You were young. We were young. You know, we did stupid things.
Totally.
What happened was I just apologized recently. I said, you know, I'm really sorry that, I don't know if I've ever said how sorry I am for the way that I did that. And so that's a regret.
I mean, that shows how strong the friendship and the bond is there too. Like, to forgive you, you know what I mean, and have you come back and stuff. You know, like, that's like. Awesome.
Wait, Toby, is that Stella?
Shut the fuck up, Stella! I'm podcasting.
No, I want Stella on the podcast, man.
She'll be back. She's being an asshole.
I was actually hoping, because Celery was just walking around the phone, and I was hoping he'd start meowing in the podcast, but he's not.
But that says a lot about your character and about your friendship with them. How, you know what I mean? You're still playing with them now. You know what I mean? And like, nothing's really changed because of that.
Well, yeah, they forgave me, and we grew up, and I think I've you know, I kind of proven myself as being a trustworthy guy now. And that's the other thing too. Like, once I got sober, like, I'm a guy that people can count on now.
Yeah.
Know? I mean, I thought one of the most telling things was a couple of years ago when we had to play Brazil, and we had to get the visas.
Yep.
And Sid asked me if I could go get them. And I remember just sitting for a moment and thinking, wow, this is a big thing, and they're trusting me now with this to get the visas for the band.
Totally, that is a big thing. You have to do it before, yeah.
I mean, you know, to be somebody that you can count on is really, you know, I like being that. I like being the guy that, you know, being one of the guys that's not a headache. Yeah. I like not being a headache and not being the worry, you know, the source of worry.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, they know I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna be on time. I'm gonna be early because I'm neurotic.
Yeah.
I'm going to play.
Yeah.
I'm going to play to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
And, you know, and after shows now, what I do is I go back to the hotel and I watch documentaries on the BBC. Or History Channel. That's my fun now.
Yeah.
You know, and that really is fun. It's fun for me. I mean, what do I want to do? You know, I'll hang out with the guys.
Yeah.
But other than that, I want to go sit and watch documentaries and talk to my wife. That's where I'm at.
It's so different at our age and being married, and some of us have families, and just like the whole tour thing, and like obviously that 45 to an hour is the most amazing feeling, but sometimes those 23 hours leading up to it or being on tour, being away from your loved ones is so hard, man. It's hard.
It
Man.
is. It is. And the thing is, like, I mean, the way GB is now, though, we're not gone for very long periods of time, so that's a good thing. And the other thing is too, like, she hasn't come out the last couple of shows, but like when we can do it, I have Caitlin come out
because
she's so she's so independent. She does her thing, you know, and it's great. And I'm I definitely miss her when I'm away. But by the way, can we talk about how fucking great it is to be married?
It's amazing.
I love it.
It's amazing.
I love it. I mean, remember, I'm old. I never thought it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And now I love saying my wife. It's like the
amazing.
best shit in the world.
It is, dude.
It's a cool feeling.
It is a cool feeling. We're very lucky we found people that can deal with us and are, you know, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's true because we're neurotic kind of people. We're neurotic, spazzy people. And do you consider yourself optimistic or pessimistic?
Oh my God! Which, by the way, oh my God! You want to hear something funny that Caitlin said? And I know you'll appreciate this because you love Crossroads as much as I do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's just talk for a second about, because I think I put it best when I came out 2 weeks ago. You saw me. I was exhausted. I was off
so
a plane.
Exhausted, dude.
I had just been through some shit. Like, I'd been to 2 fucking funerals
Brutal, man. I'm sorry for that too. Yeah.
No, it's no. Thank you, Toby. That's not what I'm saying. But I'd been through the ringer, and I sit down. I fly into LAX. I take a freaking lift. I walk at the Crossroads. I took my first bite, and I just looked up at the table. I said, you know what? This is what it is. There's food, and then there's Crossroads.
Yeah, that's true.
And I cannot in any way possibly convey to people the gravity of that until they eat it. But the point of this story is not this time, but like I guess the time before that I was going to LA and Caitlin wasn't coming.
Yeah.
She got fake mad at me and told me that I was going to food cheat on her.
Food cheat? I never heard that before.
Like, you're going to food cheat on me. I was like, so what do you want me to do? Not eat when I'm in LA?
Oh my God. You came Crossroads without me. That's amazing.
Food cheat.
I never heard that term before.
I neither. I think she created it.
Oh my.
That was her brainchild. Yeah.
Food cheat.
Yeah.
So
food
I mean.
Cheat. So wait, we're playing together and we're playing a show together in June, right?
Yeah, man, we are. I'm psyched. Festival.
The festival, right?
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Is that outdoors, Toby, or indoors?
I heard they moved it indoors.
Oh, I like playing outdoors.
Me too. Yeah. How many shows you guys have out there?
Like 4, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
too.
I think we have like 4. That's the funny thing too. I don't even know what's going on until it gets close. Until I have to book the flight, and I'm like, oh, this is what I got to do. Like with the California shows, I remember just being, I think I'm playing here.
I know you didn't know what was going on. I loved it. I mean, you were going through some shit too, though.
And that's how I always am. Like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to find out. I'm going to be on time. I'm going to, we're going to have a great time. But, I'm just, this is going to be fun. It's going to be fun to play those shows. I just wish we were outdoors because I don't know. I'm one of those people, I like playing outdoors.
Yeah,
it means
I love that.
Warm.
Do you, do you consider yourself optimistic or pessimistic?
Optimistic.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because I'm still here.
Exactly.
And the thing about pessimism is, and I call people on this, I have my moments where I'm not, we all do. We're not perfect. Yeah. But my thing is that you're not really a pessimist. You're full of shit. Because if you were a true pessimist, you'd off yourself, And I look at this, I wake up every day and I wake up in a good mood, and I wake up even if I'm not in a good mood, I know it's me. I mean, look, I'm optimistic because we're 2 years into this motherfucking Trump presidency and I'm still alive.
Agreed.
I haven't killed myself or anybody else.
Agreed.
So I'm optimistic. And here's the thing, not to get corny, but Martin Luther King said the greatest thing in the world. The arc of history is long, but it bends toward justice. And we've taken like leaps and bounds back now. We've gone back, and if any of your listeners like Donald Trump, then you don't like me. I'm sorry if me talking against Donald Trump offends you. You liking Donald Trump offends me.
Agreed.
But fuck that guy. He's a racist, and and a million other things. He's a racist, he's a sexist, he's a homophobe, he's a xenophobe, he's regressive, he's a fossil. He and his entire kind should just wither away into the trash shit heap of history. All right, so we've made a few steps back. We've taken a lot of steps back, but I'm optimistic because you know what I look at? I look at it like this. This is the death rattle. This is their last, that they're dying. That philosophy is dying in so many ways. It's funny because, it was funny because I was asked recently about, Civ's daughter being able to vote in the next presidential election and how I felt about it. And it was like, yeah, I'm old. And I thought, you know what? I think it's a great thing. You know why? Because I know how that kid thinks. And you know what?
Yeah.
I know the votes he's going to cast. And you know what? Nothing else. There are millions more like her in the next election that are going to vote. And that means millions more of these old white supremacist reactionary fossils are going to die. So the world is going to get better because all the young kids, the kids that are like your son's age, that are Bella's age, they're coming of age now and they're going to vote. And they're going to have a say. 100%. And they don't carry the baggage of the racism and the homophobia and the sexism that Toby, think about people like you and me, our generation, we were the exceptions, that we didn't have these views. We didn't hold these views and exceptions. And now it's becoming more that the people that hold the deplorable views, those are the exceptions. Yeah. And that's the thing we have to realize too, that those people are in the minority. Republicans get elected to office because they've rigged the system. They're the minority party. Yeah. They get into office because of the Electoral College. They get into office because they gerrymander, because they do voter suppression. Okay. Yeah. The other thing that's happened in the United States is the demographic change, which is the greatest thing in the world. We're becoming a more pluralistic country. Yeah. And again, I don't want to go. I already went on a tirade, but
no, it's okay.
This is their death rattle. This is the end for them. And they know it, and they're scared. And what they're doing now is they're trying to pack the Supreme Court and pack the lower courts, and they're trying to pass legislation so that they can hold on to their power a little longer because they know their time is over. It's done. Yeah. It's a new world. Yeah. And quite honestly, it's got to change or we're done for because we can't continue like this.
I know. Do you think there's a good chance he can get reelected again like we happened with Bush?
What's that?
You think it's a good chance he can get reelected again, like what happened with Bush, where everybody hated Bush and he got reelected again?
Well, he didn't get elected the first time.
Okay,
he didn't get elected.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
The Republicans have not won the popular vote in the last three elections they've won. They've done it on the Electoral College, which, as we all know, is a vestige of the slave states. It was there was a law that was put into place to protect the slave states so that they would be represented. Okay. Yeah. It's anti-democratic. We're the only country in the world that doesn't elect their leader, that has a putative democracy, doesn't elect their leader by popular vote. So Donald Trump did not get elected. He didn't. The electors elected him. The people didn't. Same thing with Bush. He didn't get elected. The Supreme Court ruled in his favor, and then he got the minority candidates, and they got the minority vote. So there's a chance because the system has been so corrupted by people in power. Yeah. But I don't know, man. It's terrifying. It's disheartening. Yeah. It's the fact that he could get as many votes as he got, and that enough people still support him. After everything. I mean, the guy he's more corrupt than Nixon. Mm-hmm. He's the most corrupt president that this country's had in the last 100 years, maybe in history, because we don't even know everything yet. Yeah. He's a liar. He's a thief. He's a cheat. He's a moron. He's anti-science. He's anti-intellectual. He's ahistorical. He's everything that's wrong. Yeah.
Global warming doesn't exist. It's crazy, man.
No, science doesn't exist. Right. Yeah, no. Everything is, it's a hoax. It's a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese. Yeah.
It's crazy he's from New York, though. It still baffles me. He lives in Manhattan.
He's not.
From Queens.
Here's the thing. This is the funniest thing. Oh, my God. I love her, and I just forgot her name, what she said about him. Fran Lebowitz said the best thing. She said, nope, he's not a New Yorker. He's a tourist's idea of a New Yorker. And when people say he's from Queens, I'm like, he's from Jamaica Estates. He's from Queens as much as like someone from Riverdale is from the Bronx. Yeah, technically you're in there, but he has morally and in terms of his soul, nothing to do with Queens. You know, he's a spoiled little rich kid who inherited $450 million from his crooked father, and that's all he is.
Yeah.
You know, he's the worst example of what a human being or a human-like object can be. Because I don't even want to think of him as human, because it makes me feel bad about myself.
Yeah, it's crazy because for Max, before this election was happening, he was like a meme on social media. So young kids like, who is this guy Trump? He knew him from the TV show. He was like a total like joke online. All of a sudden, these kids see this person become the president, and there was kids were freaking out when that happened. All kids in Max's school, there was like. They couldn't believe it that this guy became the president, and so the youth was just like,
I couldn't believe it.
I know,
I
know.
I'm just, because I really, it's funny because I remember the night that Obama was elected.
Me too. It was amazing. I was on tour in the South. It was fucking crazy.
I was with my sister and my brother-in-law, and I just looked at her and I said, it's over. We're never going to have to live this again, thinking that Bush was so bad.
Yeah.
Little did I know 8 years later, 8 years later that, forget, that it's even worse. And that I forget how bad Bush was. And Bush was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how bad Trump is, that I forget how bad Bush was.
Yeah.
Because, anyway.
It's crazy. I remember being at Crossroads, and Tall had this thing every year where you sit in this room, we eat food, and we watch the election. I remember like seeing everything change with the polls and everything, and then like it happening, and all of us barely saying goodbye to each other, and everybody walking out like with their heads down. It was brutality, man. It was.
Oh, that's right, because you were 3 hours behind. That's right, because we're in New York. It was just.
Yeah.
I remember the city the next day in New York, because he lost by 92% of the vote here.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, because like he's from New York City. I don't think any candidate in history has gotten less of his hometown vote. I mean, he's hated. He's hated here.
Yeah.
The only place that voted for him was Staten Island, and you know how we feel about Staten Island. It's not New York. I don't know. It broke off from Mississippi and came up here. No knock on people from Mississippi. There are good people down there, but you guys politically have to catch up. But anyway, New York, it was funereal. I remember going to work that next day, and just it was like everybody's mother died that day.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like somebody had gut punched me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
it's crazy times.
But,
it's. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to you try to stay positive, keep moving, doing what you do, and trying to get. Sometimes it's hard looking at the news. You get stuck in the dark. You get in this dark downward spiral of all this kind of stuff going on. It's happening.
You know
to the
what?
planet.
Yeah, that's how we got here. No, I am optimistic in the end. Yeah, I am, because I look at it like my life today is better than it was yesterday, and it's better than it was a year ago. And in a year, I hope it's going to be better than it is today. I mean,
yeah,
look. So yeah, I am optimistic in the end. It's just you gotta. It's like anything else. You made your favorite movie. There are moments in your favorite movie that you don't like, right?
Yes.
And then it's better again. And this is a rough patch in life.
Yeah.
But things are gonna be okay. I hope. I mean, it's also much easier for me to say something like that, as like a straight white guy with where life isn't as hard on me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm qualifying my statement by understanding my privilege.
Yeah.
But I do hope things are going to get better, and I do believe they will get better. I think that the good people are going to prevail.
I agree too.
I think there are more good people in this world than there are bad people. It's just the bad people are really, really loud, and they don't play fair. That's it. They don't play fair. But in the end, all cheaters get caught.
Yeah.
And and these people, the Trump crowd, they're cheaters. They're liars and they're cheaters, and their intent is negative. And in the end, they'll get theirs, and the good people are gonna win out.
Yeah, I believe in karma and all that stuff for sure.
So anyway,
but I want to thank you for being one of the good people in the world and good people in my life who took me in when I moved to New York when I was 18. Just meeting you in D.C., becoming pen pals, and actually making it reality and moving to New York by myself, and taking me under my wing, and I got to be a part of, becoming a vegetarian because of you guys, and being, I don't know, like your little brother. Even though we're not much ages like 1 year apart, but back then you guys seemed so much older.
Back
And
then it seemed, yeah, back then a year seemed so much longer.
it's
Isn't that,
crazy.
yeah, no, it is. Perspective is like, wow, 3 years seemed like an eternity, and now it's like, oh, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
But no, I love you. I love you, and I still. It's so funny because I was talking to Caitlin before. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta do this podcast with that kid. I'm still calling you a kid. I think it's a
49.
couple of years younger than me, because that's always going to be, that's always going to be our dynamic, I
Yeah.
suppose. And it's not to, in any way to denigrate you, but it's
Yeah.
just, you'll always be younger.
Yeah.
But no, I'm happy you've been, I'm happy you've been a part of my life, man.
Yeah, man.
And I'm psyched our bands are going to play together again.
Me too, man.
Because I always said, last time I saw you play, I walked out and I looked at Caitlin. I was like, you know what happens every time I see H2O? I walk out with a smile on my face.
That's awesome, man. Thank you, man. Thank you.
That's a good thing. If that's the legacy that you're going to give to the world, that's a good thing, man.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Well, I've been inspired by you, and I got to be around you guys. You guys are a big inspiration to me, and yeah, I appreciate all the music you've been involved with and everything you put out in the world, and it's inspired a lot of people, man. It's awesome. You did a lot of good things with your life, my friend, and you continue to do so.
I was just lucky to be able to play the bass and be around Walter and Civ. That's pretty much it, man. Seriously.
Well, they're lucky to have you too, though.
It was all happenstance. I happened to be a guy that could play the bass serviceably enough and be around when Walter and Civ, and I'm along for the ride. That's the way I see it. So
I'm gonna send
it's a good ride.
I'm gonna send you some pictures of some of our crazy outfits.
Oh my God, I was just gonna tell you, you have to send me these pictures. You have to. And please, you have to, especially like if you have pictures of the night we met. Jesus,
I do.
Fuck, man.
I have that. We had sweatbands on and like weird high tops. It was such a weird high top thing back then, man. It was such a weird thing.
It's gonna be funny. Send me the picture, and then I'm gonna go up to Caitlin. I'm gonna be like, babe, I'm thinking of reviving the style. Yeah, like fuck this British mod style that I've got going on.
You have a good style right now. I like your hair now. It looks good, man. I like your vibe.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just letting it go. But
you've always changed it up with different vibes over the years. I like that.
You grow and you adapt. And I'm gonna tell Caitlin, yeah, babe, I think it's time I went back to circa 1987. I'm gonna get these sneakers. I'm gonna get these sweatbands, and I'm gonna get some puka shells too.
Puka beads. It's so random. It's crazy. But I have to say, the Champions and the Nike high tops and all that New York shit, it was so amazing. Like, all that shit now that's extremely popular now. It's just back then this look was just. And I talked to Walter and Sammy and Priscilla about how everybody's rocking leather jackets and they were like punk rock, and then what I thought took real guts is everybody being clean cut, wearing varsity jackets into CBGBs.
Yeah,
like that was pretty shocking and original,
It kind of was. I mean, it's funny too, because I used to dress like, brothel creepers or Doc Martens. And then I started wearing the youth crew thing. And and then it got to a point, actually, honestly, where I was like, I don't really like this. I like the creepers better.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, when I got into this music, one of my favorite bands was Social Distortion.
Best.
For two reasons. The songs were amazing. And remember so you remember the vinyl of Mommy's Little Monster?
Yeah.
And you opened it up and saw pictures and how fucking cool Social D looked.
So cool.
After the Clash, nobody looked cooler than Social D.
I agree.
They just looked so fucking cool. Mike Ness with that beret.
Yeah, dude.
And Dennis Denell. They just looked so fucking cool.
Yeah, the eyeliner and the fucking it was just, dude. Yeah, it's a good point, actually.
Those California bands, man, nothing can touch those bands. Channel 3, Adolescence. Nothing can touch that stuff, man. That stuff holds up. That shit holds up so strongly,
Yeah. Did you love Circle Jerks too, and like Dead Kennedys, Black Flag, Suicidal?
Well, here's the thing about that. I was never the hugest Black Flag fan or Circle Jerks fan. Dead Kennedys were amazing.
Amazing.
I liked first Suicidal album. Yeah, what wasn't there to like about
Incredible.
it? But I always gravitated toward the really melodic California stuff. That's why I like Adolescence, Descendants, Channel 3.
7 Seconds.
7 seconds.
Dude,
was like
fucking best.
That's the Bible, man.
I agree.
Walter put it best. He said if there hadn't been 7 seconds in Youth of Today, there wouldn't have been Gorilla Biscuits. Dude, oh my God, the first Token Entry tour that we did, which wasn't really much of a tour, it was just going out to California and hanging out and playing shows where we could.
Yeah.
We drove cross country in an unair conditioned van. It was the funniest thing. And the crew, we just kept putting the crew on over and over and over and over again. We must have worn that cassette out from that trip.
Such a great
It's like
record,
just
though.
yeah, and it's what with 20 minutes long, so you can imagine how many times we had to listen to it.
Did you like the other stuff like New Wind and Ourselves and Soul Force Revolution?
I love New Wind.
Me
I
too,
thought
man.
Praise was great. I
I
thought
love
Praise was a
Praise.
great album.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember they got shit for that. I mean, even
So
Walk
much.
Together, Run Together was like a departure that some people were like, I don't know. I remember, oh my God, 7 Seconds did 2 nights at CBGB's back in '86. In the fall of '86, they did 2 shows at CB's. Or was it? Yeah, fall of '86. They did 2 shows at CB's on a Thursday and a Friday night.
Damn.
They were completely packed out. And I had met Kevin and the guys that summer in San Francisco in '86 when we were out with Token Entry because we played the farm with them.
Nice.
And I have pictures from that show. And the cool thing is I was wearing a Gorilla Biscuit shirt. It was the first Gorilla Biscuit shirt ever made. Civ drew it on like a cerulean blue T-shirt with a black Sharpie. It's a gorilla on a skateboard.
Damn.
And till that point, it was the biggest show we played. It was about 1,000 people capacity
Yeah.
at this place, the farm. So I met Kevin and the guys then, and then they played a few months later at CB's on the Thursday and Friday night. So I knew them. And I remember I went up to Kevin before and I was like, Kevin, are you guys going to play Out of Touch? And he just looked at me. He's like, we weren't going to, but we'll play it for you.
That's
And
awesome.
and they played Out of Touch. And I just remember just absolutely losing my shit. I remember singing along, stage diving.
Dude.
And they were packed out shows on a fucking Thursday night.
Yeah. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I had him on the podcast. He was telling me how everywhere they went after New Wind came out, people like crying at the show, saying how they bummed them out by changing their style. And they said when they started hitting the East Coast, they started realizing that the response for New Wind was incredible, and that they were thinking that the New York scene would be the most of like, nah, this is weak. It was the most acceptable part of it. Like everybody gravitated towards New Wind on the East Coast. He was so happy about that.
Really? I didn't. That's so cool to hear because I love
Yeah.
New Wind. I thought it was great.
Dude.
I mean, Toby, you remember how much we loved 7 Seconds? Holy shit.
Dude, man. And because of Kevin Seconds, I got into YouTube through them because they were talking about that.
Really?
Yeah, man. And Kevin grew his hair out and shit. Fuck, man.
I was into YouTube before I got into hardcore.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, I was into YouTube from Boy. I was really young, and I remember reading Circus Magazine when Boy came out. Yeah, when Boy came out, I was like 12.
Yeah.
And they were like, I remember Circus Magazine said, "U2 looks English, sounds Irish." That's what it said. Yeah, and I just remember like, wow, this band sounds like nothing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
They were revolutionary when they came out. I mean, they really were, and they were really political.
Mm-hmm.
And so I liked them anyway.
Yeah.
So once Kevin got influenced by them and was, doing stuff like that, I thought this is fine.
I know. Soul Force Revolution, dude. Oh man.
Well, dude, I mean, think about like Super Touch. Mark was so into U2 as well, like Searching for the Light.
That's true.
Mark loved. I remember when Joshua Tree came out, Mark Ryan lost his shit over that record.
Wow.
We all did. When Joshua Tree came out, everybody did, whether they admit it or not.
I know.
I remember being in the Youth of Today van. I have this memory being in the Youth of Today van that spring, and just talking about how great Joshua Tree was as an album, and it fucking still is. It holds up. Like I'll listen to it on occasion and just my jaw will drop and I'll think this is a masterpiece.
It's a fucking masterpiece. But listen, but that's how people think when they listen, whether you're gonna believe it or not, but that's how people think when listening to Start Today. That's how they feel. That's how it affected them. And
Walter.
What?
He wrote it.
No, I know. But I'm saying also and also just hearing you say that like in the 80s, Youth of Today was listening to and talking about the Joshua Tree. People think even to this day that like if you're in a hardcore band, that's all you listen to. It's completely opposite.
Hell no.
It's like people think you go and listen to it and you get off tour when you actually live it and play it. It's not true.
It's like I don't eat the same food every day. Like
yeah.
I mean, I grew up on the Beatles and the Who and Led Zeppelin, and that stuff is still amazing to me. And like for fun, I listen to Motown and I listen to like or I'll listen to Rocksteady or classic rock or jazz or Delta blues or something.
Yeah.
So I never. That was always so stupid. I don't like any other kind of music. Well, you're missing out. Then you're really missing out.
Yeah.
But for like, I was gonna say as for like Start Today and stuff. That's I was along for the ride. It's funny too because how many people will come up and say because of Cats and Dogs I'm vegan or animal rights activist, and And that makes me so happy because obviously
Totally.
I'm a diehard committed vegan.
Yep.
But I always think, I'm like, yeah, you could tell that guy, I wish I wrote that song. I just played that. I just played bass on it. I didn't write it, but I'm
Yeah.
psyched. I'm psyched that I played bass on a song that's changed a lot of people. And that's actually, I'm so proud of being a part of that
Mm-hmm.
because I think Cats and Dogs is one of the smartest songs about
I
vegetarianism,
agree.
veganism, and animal rights. It was like, and think about it. Here's the thing that people have to understand. Walter wrote that he was 19 years old.
Yeah.
And, and I mean, think about the New York scene at that time, right, Toby? It was like in your face,
Yep.
not, there's nothing nuanced in anything in the New York
No.
scene, And
No.
Walter comes out with a question. I got to ask. And then the idea Cats and Dogs have all the left. It's genius.
Nobody was
It's,
talking about that type of shit. Nobody was, man.
it's just fucking genius. I mean, I think it's up there with Meat is Murder as like one of the great, great
I agree. I would say that.
animal.
Yeah, I would say that, and I love My Philosophy. KRS-One was singing about that too in '88.
Hell yeah! Remember that?
That was crazy. They were on the same time as when the same time GB came out. Same, yeah, dude.
Oh my God, Toby, do you remember? I remember listening to that with you, and we were so happy
My Philosophy.
because we were like, "Oh my God, it's not a hardcore band." And he's talking about vegetarianism. You know who else
Yes.
blew my too? Do you remember like that? I remember finding out in like '87 or '88 that Jane's Addiction were vegetarian and being
Yeah.
so fucking amped on that because, like, seriously. And now think
Yeah,
about like veganism. Bill Clinton is a vegan.
dude.
Like, it's that's a good thing. So you know how we always talk about, we lament when our subculture becomes mainstream,
Yes.
are looking like us. I always said the one thing I'm so happy that the more mainstream it becomes and the more popular it becomes, the happier I am is vegetarianism, veganism, because every person that decides they're not going to eat or wear or exploit these creatures, that's that many more creatures that are not going to be killed or exploited.
100%. It's the best trend that's ever happened to the planet because it's saving lives. I fucking love it. And all these songs that everybody was singing about, No More, Cats and Dogs, back everybody's singing about these songs. All that shit's happening now. Like, we're having a more conscious, caring society. That's
Yep.
fucking so true right now, man. It's so insane
I
to
know.
me. This
Toby,
option.
think about this. When I first became vegan, and I'm sure with you too, like you would have to explain to people what it is. I have to say, well, I'm a very strict vegetarian.
Even that
And now you
word.
say,
Mm-hmm.
people say vegan. People say vegan, and they know what it is. Like anybody, whether they revile it or they're indifferent or they
Yeah.
respect it, they know what veganism is, and that's incredible progress. And honestly, like that to me is probably the most important decision I've made in my life.
Me
I
too.
think,
Me too.
I mean, just think of the ramifications of it. Like,
Yeah.
it's something that you do or don't do every day, and it has such a positive effect
Huge
on these
impact. And
on
Arthur,
these
and I
creatures.
can thank you for that. For me too, in '88, I stopped eating animals, and that's straight up living in the GB house, singing on the record, hanging out all you
Well, I
guys,
can thank
dude.
the people I can thank for that are Walter, Civ,
Me too.
uh, Gus,
Yeah.
Purcell.
So
Purcell had a lot to do with it because I fucking adore him.
music today,
But just
Capo.
think about
Yeah.
it. It's like every day, the things that we don't do mean that just how many more innocent creatures that did nothing wrong, they did nothing more than be born,
I agree.
and they're being tortured just for our gluttony. That's all it is. Because
It's
we have
so
to wear
fucked.
them, or we have to eat them, or we
Mm-hmm.
have, or we have to fucking exploit them and make them do stupid tricks so we can laugh because we're not funny enough to make each other laugh.
True. Yeah.
Um, just think about it. I mean, you live with a non-human animal. I live with two,
Yep.
and I just look at them every day, and I just look at them and I marvel, and I think you're an individual.
Yeah.
You have a soul, and you have wants, and all you want is to live life peacefully, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why Caitlin and I spoil them.
Yeah.
Because when I adopted the first cat, that's it was before I met Caitlin. When I adopted him, he was a kitten off the street and he was abandoned. He had a broken tail, and I just brought him in the house, and I looked at him and I said, "Let me just tell you something. Here's the agreement between us. You will never in your life ever suffer again, and you will know nothing but comfort and pampering for the rest of your life. You're
That's
going to live your life
amazing.
happy. That's it."
Yeah.
And if we can just expand that, that's the thing. It's because you know it as well as I do. It's one of the oldest arguments. Substitute cat or dog for
Yeah.
pig or cow or
Yeah.
chicken or fish. That's all it is.
I know.
It's all
100%.
all it is,
And when,
you know.
and I think when people are so selfish and set in their ways, they don't want to see it like that. Or if I post something that's not graphic but just something that makes you think and makes you start questioning your own self and how you're living, people are so on the fence because they know in their heart what they're doing. They don't have to
that's
be
it.
doing. There's so many alternatives for it. It's 2019. You
Yeah.
know, where the fuck you get your protein from? All that stuff that's just so
Yeah.
played out. It's like,
I mean, I look at it like this. Everybody's got their path, and I don't, I don't begrudge people things, and
yeah,
I hope, you know, everybody has their path and their timeline, and their, but the thing is, just be open. But my question is the people that are hostile toward me or toward this or what we do, because I try not to be an asshole about it. I think that's the worst outreach you could do, is to
100%.
go up and you yell at a person. Somebody could come up to me and start screaming at me that Joe Strummer is the greatest thing in the world. And I'm going to be like, go fuck yourself, because you're screaming at me. I could agree with you. But,
Yeah,
the other thing about the vegan philosophy is, remember, it's respecting all life, and that includes humans.
agreed.
And the worst outreach that anybody can do is to be confrontational and to be judgmental, because then you know what happens? People shut down, because that's our nature, and that's fine.
Yep.
And then all you're doing is making a lot of noise, being self-righteous, and making sure that no animals get saved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's.
I agree. There's a fine line. I call myself teachy, not preachy. I want to lead by example and not force it down your throat. I'm gonna say, hey, this is my son's 16, never had meat, he's healthy as can be, raising a vegan, vegetarian son, whatever, and I just lead by example, not by, because when he forces things down people's throats, it's just like, your parents rebelling against your parents,
It's that's just it. It's like it's really, and I've had several people I know have become they've become herbivores because of the example, like saying to me, "You're my wife."
Yep.
She said to me, when we first met, she goes, "You're the first vegan I met that's not an asshole." And you know what I said? I said, "I'm sorry. I'm really sorry on behalf of anybody that's ever made you feel less than you are because of this." And that's not what this is about. That's not what it's about.
I agree.
I'll get angry at things, in private company, but I don't feel that way about people. I mean, it breaks my heart, and I get angry. And when I see, well, I'm sorry, hunting, I don't know. That's a different story.
Different story.
Yeah, I think hunting accidents are hilarious, but anyway, that's another story. And whatever, maybe that's my shortcoming, and I haven't I'm not as evolved as I'd like to be, and someday maybe I won't hold those views, but because that's just to me, that's the ultimate in like toxic masculinity, to go out and hunt with a gun. And my feeling is this: you want to go kill a lion, man, by all means, go kill a lion with what nature gave you. Go wrestle that lion. If you can wrestle that lion, bare hands, and win, I'm all for it. I'll help you skin it.
I agree.
But you can't. So you got to use that little cowardly. I don't even want to get into guns, because that's another story. And there are a lot of radical leftists that are going to disagree with me, and I've had this argument with a lot of activists about, because I mean, I don't know if anybody knows, but I'm very, 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 very far left. So, there are a lot of leftists that that are pro-gun, and my feeling is, why? To me, like, a gun is made for one reason. There's only one reason a gun is made, and that's to kill. And I don't have any interest in killing.
Me too. I hate guns. I never even shot a gun or held a gun in my entire life.
Neither have I. I mean, yeah, there are times I've been curious about it and whatnot, but why? Again, it's like people say, "Oh, well, cars kill people." Yeah, by accident. A car is designed to get a person. It's a conveyance from one place to another. A gun is designed to do one thing. It's to kill. That's the only use you have for a gun, is to kill. And I have no interest in that. It's not my place. I don't believe in God, but it's not my place to take a life. It's just not.
Yeah. I agree.
And why do I have an interest in a machine that's made to end the life? No, I have no interest in it. To me, it's a compensation for something that's really missing in somebody. And we all have voids. And I know I compensate for whatever my shortcomings are with things that I do, but I try to do things that don't hurt anybody,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
no, I agree.
Anyway,
that's a whole different conversation, but I agree with everything you said for sure, man. Like that's
man. But I think we both, like all of us, one of the greatest things we've done is to spread the word of the vegan philosophy and make it mainstream, and make it, make people realize that it's not a weird way to live. and it's not a hard way to live, especially in this day and age. There's nothing weird about not drinking, the milk of another species. There's nothing weird about not gnawing on the decaying, putrefying carcass of a murdered creature. There's nothing weird about that.
I really think for the first
really
time.
Weird that eating shit that grows out of the ground.
Yeah, I really think that for the first time, like the world is changing. I maybe because I live in LA and you live in New York, like we're in the meccas for this kind of stuff. But like, just seeing how the different products are going to all the. Just even if I don't ever go to McDonald's again, at least they have an Impossible Whopper there, and like the Beyond Burger Impossible. They're changing the planet, dude. It's fucking crazy, man.
I know. It's incredible. I know. I was just going to Crossroads and seeing how many people eat there that aren't even vegan,
nah,
but just
because
the food, just because the food is fucking good.
Exactly, and I love Tulsa approach is like world peace starts in the kitchen. Like his whole thing is like getting people who don't usually eat that type of food to eat something really fucking good. Like holy shit, because for me and you, we were eating fucking tofu pops and dry ass hockey puck boca burgers and all falafels and all this hippie ass shit when it first came out. We were dying, man, just for the animals. We really struggled, like touring back then and everything, just really doing it for the animals. And now there's these options for other people. And I feel like a Tulsa approach is like, hey, you can eat this food. It's really good for you. It doesn't cause heart disease, and you're not killing any animals. And I just love that approach, man. It's so good.
Well, Tall is he's a lion. He's amazing. But that's the thing too, because Caitlin, my wife, makes clothing, and she she actually made my suit for my wedding, our wedding. But her idea is that she eventually wants to start a clothing company that's obviously sustainable, vegan, ethical. She doesn't want to market it that way. She just wants, because the thing is that she wants people to realize that it's normal. It doesn't have to be remarkable. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You like wearing my clothes. Guess what? It's ethically sourced, it's sustainable, and no animal products were used in it. You can live this way. So, you know how many times when people say, I can't eat vegan. Well, do you ever eat like French fries? Then yeah, you're eating vegan. You eat vegan every day.
Did you ever have an apple or peanuts or some fucking lettuce?
Exactly. Did you ever eat a peanut?
It's so true, dude. But
seriously.
Go ahead.
No, seriously.
I know.
What Tal is doing is, it can't be overstated. The other thing too, what he's doing is also, I don't know, he's magic, or he sold his soul to, I don't know what he did, but it's ridiculous. That restaurant is ridiculous.
I know. And he's one of us, dude. He was inspired by the same music we're inspired by. He came from the same music we were inspired by, man. It's fucking.
Toby, at our Roxy show, he was in the crowd.
I know, dude. I told Travis, Travis, watch. Tall's gonna be in the pit with no glasses on. He's like, nah. And during the set, I see him with his glasses off, like punching his chest, finger pointing. It's so cute. I love when I see him out there, letting loose.
What's wrong with him?
I love him, dude. He's young though. But yeah, he's a fucking hardcore kid. It's so cool, and he's
a sweetie, man,
dude. And it doesn't matter who comes in that restaurant, how big or how famous. When people from the scene come there, it's fucking family, no matter what. Doesn't matter how crowded it is in there. He knows his roots and he respects them, and it's just awesome, man. So awesome.
I love when people from our scene, all of a sudden it's like we've infiltrated everything.
Yeah.
I mean, think about seriously. I mean, okay, there's the obvious, like Zach De La Rocha. All right,
yeah.
That's not the obvious one. But then people like Paul, or even somebody like Steve O.
Yeah.
Or
how about Steve Aoki with the GB tattoo?
Steve Aoki. Jesus Christ, that's right. That's
so
right.
Cool. People don't even know that. It's fucking awesome.
I know.
There's so many of us, dude. It's awesome. It's just, I don't know, man. It's a small world too.
What about Ditto? Caitlin just reminded me.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Ditto from Major Conflict. I mean, Jesus Christ, another
great
one.
movies he did, man. Oh my God, dude.
I know. Dude, that guy is something else. That guy's a genius. He's incredible, man. From back in the days, I remember. He's a pretty amazing guy too. But
what's that movie about Saints? The first one he did was it's a story of
the guys
who
recognizing your saints.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. And that was such a great movie, dude. Oh my God, man, a great movie.
The book was incredible too. The book was really, really good. Yeah. No, he's a great guy, man. I realized he's a great songwriter too. Holy shit, Ditto could write a song.
Gutter Boy, yeah.
He was a great man. I remember seeing Major Conflict back in like 84, 85.
Yeah.
And Ditto was on stage, and it was so cool because he was wearing a pajama top. He had
Wow.
buttoned all the way up, and then he had written Ditto on the pocket, like a name tag.
That's awesome.
And I just was like, who is this fucking weirdo?
Yeah.
And they were just like, hey, he's an Astoria guy. And I remember seeing him around Astoria, and he was just so manic. His energy was everywhere.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. I always liked Ditto. I always liked that guy too.
What would you say? What would you say would be the most influential band that really connected you as a kid? That you think really, I don't know, kept you on a path or put you on a different path? Something that you heard that really, like, I don't know.
Clash.
Yeah. Okay. Respect.
I saw them.
Okay. Shit. There you go.
Saw them.
Okay.
Yeah. The Clash was. There are certain bands and things or books you read or movies you see or whatever that just they're seminal, where you're just like, okay, this is major. Like my life is just shit. And the Clash was that. Hearing the Clash and seeing what they look like, I was just way. And then so they played Bond. They did a residency at Bond in 80 or 81, and I wanted to go, and I couldn't go because I was too young. And I just remember it was all over the news, like riots in Times Square. There were no fucking riots in Times Square.
Yeah.
That was Kraut's first show, by the way. You know that story?
Oh no, I did not. I love Kraut though.
Oh my God, it's the best story. So Kraut. So if Johnny Feedback goes to one of the Bond shows and he's up front and he throws a cassette, a demo at Joe Strummer, he's like, "This is my band." So it had all the info on it. They get a fucking phone call later on or the next day, and it was like, "Oh, this is, for the Clash. We just listened to your demo. Open for us tomorrow." So Kraut's very first show was opening one of the Bond residency shows in Times Square for the Clash.
Holy shit!
That right there is why I fucking love Strummer and will always love Strummer.
That's
and
awesome.
Then anyway, I couldn't go to the Bond shows, so then they played in '82. They opened for the Who at Shea, and I love the Who anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is going to be the greatest show ever. And one thing that people don't realize about that show is that David Johansen opened it. David Johansen, and then the Clash, and then the Who. Damn. And I remember seeing the Clash. So it was general admission at Shea Stadium, and when the Clash came on, there was a mad rush. Everybody like got pushed up hundreds of feet, so we were compacted.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, the Clash. I remember Cosmo Vinyl came out and introduced them, and he was wearing a fedora and like a zoot suit.
Damn.
And he just came. Yeah, it was just really cool. And then we got pushed to the front, and I just remember staring at Joe and Paul, and Joe Strummer with a leg and the vein in his neck and the Telecaster, and then Paul with a fucking precision bass. And I just remember thinking, like, my life is never going to be the same ever again.
Wow.
I remember
how old were you?
I got 13 or 14. I was like, I got to cut my hair, and I got to get a pair of boots. And
ASAP.
Yeah, that was it, man. That was it. I saw the Clash, and that was it. And then I just remember, I remember just thinking, and the name, the Clash. Like, is there a better name for a band?
No, man.
And then because of the Clash, think about this. They were so on, because of the Clash, I got introduced to like reggae and rock steady.
Totally, yeah.
That was what Paul Simonon grew up with in East London.
Yep. And
then think about this too. Strummer, he loved New York. Strummer was fucking into hip hop.
He was.
Before like any mainstream white, radio. Because growing up in New York in the 80s, Walter and I had been talking about this a few years ago, like hip hop was underground, and whether you liked it or not, you were exposed to it. If you were a working class kid in New York, you rode the subways. So like I saw that culture, and they were
Grandmaster Flash, all that stuff, you mean? Like, yeah.
Well, Grandmaster Flash was like that was like the late 70s.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about, and it was very cult then. But I mean, when hip hop first started happening, and before it was mainstream, when it was still a local thing in New York.
Yeah.
In the early 80s, and you just, the style of like what they wore and the graffiti. And I mean, Anthony Caminali was really into it because he hung out with all those 93rd Street boys, and he used to have like demos of. I remember Anthony Caminali playing demos of like battles, like improvised battles. It was like he had of LL Cool J.
Damn.
Of LL from yeah, and there was like a whole rivalry with the Bronx and Queens, and I guess
I remember that. Yeah.
Whatnot, and anyway, but Joe Strummer. I mean, think about it. Joe Strummer was completely into that and was like listening to that from back then.
Yeah, in the early days.
He was the shit. He was vegetarian. You know that, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he tells a story it's in the Futures Unwritten. He tells a story in 1974. He was at a festival, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a guy there, and he had a pet chicken. And this band is about to play. And he's like, "Where's my chicken? Where's my chicken?" And the chicken was on the stage next to some pyrotechnic, if I remember the story correctly. And Joe Strummer, he had an epiphany at that moment. He was like, "Wow, I'm really terrified that the chicken's gonna die." Why?
Holy shit.
Why am I terrified that only about this chicken? He said, and then from then on, he never ever ate an animal again.
Wow, that's an awesome story. Like all of a sudden realization of that, like.
Yeah, it's not surprising. He's fucking Joe Strummer. He's the coolest bastard in the world.
Did you love Ramones? You love Ramones also?
I like the Ramones. I was never as nuts about the Ramones as everybody is.
Okay.
It just has to do with the sound. I mean, I love them and they're Queens boys and whatever, but
yeah.
I mean, I know that everything came from the Ramones. I know that all the British punk happened because the Ramones went over there. But yeah, no, I love them. But like not, they're not up there with like not with Clash, not with the Clash, not with like the Buzzcocks or I mean, I'm sorry, the Pistols too. Never mind, the Bollocks is a masterpiece, flawless. Or the Damned. I fucking love the Damned too. All that stuff. The Jam.
The Jam and the Damned, right?
Jam that I like more now. Walter got me into the Jam. I mean, Anthony did, but Walter is the one that really made me. He loved the Jam. Walter made me realize how cool the Jam were.
That's awesome. Yeah, leave it up to Walter to open your mind to some other
Walter's. I fucking love him.
I got a quick story about the Buzzcocks. We were in my apartment on 5th Street, and I got a phone call. Moon's like, "Oh, I think it's your friend Barney from Napalm Death on the phone." So I answered the phone, and it's this English guy. And he's like, "Hey, this is so and so. My name is Pete Shelley. I'm from the Buzzcocks, and I'm here." He's like, "I'm calling because I want to take your band H2O on tour through Europe, and I got your phone number. Is this Toby?" I'm like, "Yeah." I go, "This isn't the Buzzcocks." He's like, "Yeah, it is." I go, "No, it's not. This is Barney from Napalm Death." He goes, "Barney, Napalm Death, mate." And he starts naming. He's like, "He's from so and so England. I'm from the west part of England." Whatever he was saying, he was breaking down like where they were from. I was like, "This is Peter Shelley from the Buzzcocks." I was like, I kept saying, "This is not you." He was like, "This is Pete Shelley," and ended up being Pete Shelley. And they asked us to go on tour, and unfortunately, we were on the Warped Tour at the same time. We didn't get to do it, but he actually called my home and he got my number from somebody. It was pretty amazing.
Pete Shelley called you up. Oh my God, you fucking win! You win.
He called my house on 5th Street, and it was like early '90s. I couldn't believe it, dude. And then we found out later on it was because then his agent hit up Stormy, our original agent, and said, "Yeah, that was him who called your house." And I didn't have any friends from England. All I had was Napalm Death. I thought it was just they were breaking my balls, and it was really him. Yeah. So it's fucking nuts.
That's what we do. We break people's balls. Wait, you win. I got nothing, man. I got nothing that can touch Pete Shelley. Pete Shelley calling my house, asking for me, and asking me to go on tour with him. All right, you win. That's it.
But I love the Buzzcocks. Like I love those records, and I knew them from my brothers and stuff. But like I wasn't a massive fan. But Moon was, and Moon couldn't believe it. I was like, I guess that was him. Like that's fucking crazy. And then rest in peace. He just passed away recently. That was so sad, man.
I know. So heartbreaking. I know. And the Buzzcocks were one of those bands that were like, Anthony showed me the Buzzcocks, and I just remember being like, "What is this? This is the fucking best shit I've ever heard."
Yeah.
Just come on, Ever Fallen in Love. What do I get? Oh my God, everything. Yeah, Pete Shelley was a master.
Great melodies, man.
Yeah, he just could write a song. That's it. Just could write a nice, catchy song. But anyway, so yeah, I think dinner's ready.
Awesome. This is perfect. We talked.
Toby, you know what I love? I love that we're like, yeah, we'll do an hour, and now we're at 2 hours and 12 minutes.
I'm so happy. This is way overdue. So people listening, me and Arthur have been trying to lock this down for like 5 months, and he's been so patient with me about it. He was out here, but he had no time to do it.
I've been patient with you. No. Let's be real. You've been patient with me.
It's all good, man. I know it's gonna happen though. I knew you weren't going anywhere. I could find you.
Yeah. And the funniest thing is it almost didn't happen today because I was going to get a new phone.
Yeah.
But I never backed up this phone, so it was going to take over like 3 hours to back it up. So I was like, I can't fucking do this. I'm going to buy the phone tomorrow. But this
has been very thorough, man. We covered everything. I think people will be happy with this conversation. We learned a lot about you today. Yeah, man. I'm honored to call you my friend. I'm happy for you, and it was great seeing you a couple weeks ago. And we're lucky all to be still playing music, and it's been.
Well, we'll be playing together. We'll be playing together in fucking 7 weeks.
Yeah,
so
and
6 weeks.
and
6 weeks.
you just had a birthday. You joined the 50 club, but you look like you're fucking 30.
Woo,
And
yeah,
you can thank veganism and your lifestyle for that 100%.
and my wife.
And your wonderful wife who keeps you young.
And because she's amazing and she makes me happy. And that is nothing to be. You can't overstate that, man. Just being happy.
That's
and when you have when you have a little comfort, like when you come home and and you can close, you're in your little citadel and the world doesn't exist, and you just you're with the people you love, and then you can go to sleep and smile and not think about like Donald Trump.
Yeah, you posted a cute picture there on Instagram. It's like you wearing because you're so little. And I say that in a loving way, and you have a little wife beater on, your pajama bottoms, and your hair is all down. You're at the table. It was so cute. I'm like, you look so peaceful.
Yeah, with the cat.
You look so peaceful. You're like in your house. You're chilling. Like it's awesome, man. Like.
Yeah, and the cat. That's Celery. He's the Munchkin cat that we adopted. He's decided that he comes to the dinner table now. It's fucking hilarious. And he meows a lot. He's really chatty, and he's really attached to Caitlin.
Oh
so
my
like
God.
this is. Now, whenever we eat dinner, he just sits there and he like meows at us and wants our food, and we're like, you're no, this cat loves food more than any. I've volunteered at sanctuaries and seen pigs, and pigs don't stop eating. You know how pigs don't stop eating.
Yeah.
This cat, he's part pig. He just. I always today I was like, when I'm feeding him in the morning, I was like, man, do you understand, Celery? I love you almost as much as you love food. This cat is, anyway.
You should follow.
Right,
you should follow Gary Holt from Slayer, a mutual friend of ours who's vegan now, and he always posts cats on Saturdays, Saturdays. Every Saturday he posts a cat picture.
I gotta follow him then.
Yeah,
I gotta follow him.
I'll send you his link after this. He's awesome.
He's another. But listen, we're gonna play together. I'm psyched about that. I love you so much.
I love you too, brother.
Oh, do me a favor. When you talk to Craig, ask him about Angry Head.
I will.
Yeah.
Arthur, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your friendship, and I
appreciate your patience with me.
All good, man. Have a great weekend with your lovely wife, and enjoy your dinner.
All right, Kiku.
Kiku. Peace, bud. Bye.
Love you, bud.
Love you too. Bye. That was amazing. That was fucking awesome. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast. Please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to do the next one.